Hello.
Hi.
How are you both?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
Doing well. At the top of the hour, we have. Oh my God, no. No. At the top of the hour, we have an announcement. Um, should we do it at the top of the hour or at the end or in the middle or all three?
All three.
All right. So, this is not goodbye. I probably shouldn't start it like that because it's always goodbye when you start it like that.
Yeah.
We are exhausted, and by we I mean not me. I'm never exhausted. I can work. Um, and so we've decided that we will take a hiatus on IDGAB. We're going to be behind the scenes working to come back with better content. However, I will be not doing IDGAB, but like I'll go back to having 2 streams per week. But it will not be 2 streams instead of two IDGAB, an IDGAB and then a live stream. So yeah, we are going to do that while we work behind the scenes to kind of talk through some stuff, get our life together. Because I think things have been just chaotic. Like honestly, we didn't agree to the theme as I appreciate the love. No, it's not on my ear. It's not bad. I think we're just exhausted. And like we come on at 8 and Kay has to work and do all kinds of stuff. Petty has to be a janitor and then come on and want to like it's 8 o'clock. It's a lot for them. It's also a lot for me. But in truth, like this is kind of like a passion of mine and it's a passion of theirs too, but I feel like we've taken up too much space in our lives and we need to like take a step back. um no, it's not April's Fool. We should have done that for April 1st. But no, we are in fact taking a hiatus and hopefully we'll be back better than ever if we can sort of one, figure out a better time to do this, get our schedule together, kind of be on one page, update the thumbnail, because like Annalisa is still in the thumbnail, right? There's just a lot happening. And so I think we needed to take a break, separate, and then come back.
Just a little recalibrating, you know. We'll
Yeah,
be back.
yeah, it's not a goodbye at all. Wake up, makeup. Oh, we love you too. Um, any update, by the way? Anything y'all wanted to add to that?
Yeah, my cousin was in some freak accident. He said he fell off of a bridge and hit a boat. He has like a severe concussion, so I'm not sure that
I hope you're not attempting to make fun of what happened in Baltimore because I want to talk about that.
what happened in Baltimore.
There was a cargo ship
Ship.
that hit a bridge and caused like the entire thing to collapse. And they're still like looking for people.
Yeah, and over 20 people were unalived.
Well, that's not good, huh?
Wait, you act because part of the issue that I'm having is like I got up that day, went to work, and like it was like business as usual while they were looking for people. And I'm not sure what I think should happen because like life goes on, unfortunately, but it just felt wrong. It like actually felt wrong that I was
Just
like
doing regular things.
yeah, it's almost like the kind of blase approach to like passing of people and like tragedy is kind of like weird. I feel like we've become accustomed to that, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Like I think even in our lifetime, like I'm not gonna say it like that, but in the past 10 years, let's say, um, that when certain tragedies would happen, you would go somewhere and everyone would be talking about it. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? But now it's just like people don't even talk about it so much in real life. I think a lot of times, you hear a lot about things on social media, but just like in day-to-day life, people definitely don't talk as much about things that happen. I think we're getting like desensitized to
Yeah,
trend,
no, I mean, I've
unfortunately.
watched the video like more than 15 times at this point, um, where you can watch the transport ship moving towards a support beam. And I think the light went off, and thankfully it was like early in the morning. So
Yeah,
like
so
that's
it's
a
less
really
people.
busy bridge.
Mm.
And like I mean, not saying thankfully it's not a lot of people, though I'm grateful it wasn't, because but there are still people who are lost. There are like 4 people still missing. Over 20, I think 21 people were unalived. Um, Interestingly, I read somewhere, and I hope I'm wrong, that they halted the search for some of the people who were missing. And that's wild to me because, like, when them people went in a submarine for no reason, they did not ease up that search. Um,
And that
and
was a much deeper, like that was an even harder search.
not only like the reason for being there is wild, right? Like it's just rich people who wanted to go look where the Titanic was. This is literally people going using the bridge to go home or go wherever they're going.
Mm.
Anywho, I'm not saying one tragedy is worse. I am saying because anyway, it was just wild because watching the video and watching the ship kind of like just move towards the support beam, really like it just like felt like surreal, almost like you're watching a movie and it wasn't real. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like literally my worst fear. So like 2 weeks ago, I ordered life jackets from Amazon, and my husband was like, when do we need life jackets? Like, why do you have life jackets? Literally, this is like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, in case we're crossing over like a bridge and, something happens. And it's crazy that like that happened. And I was just talking about it. And my husband, I mean, it's still like a far fetched thing to happen, with us because we don't live anywhere near like a bridge and large bodies of water. But it was just something that I was thinking about. And it's literally like worst fear level type stuff. Like I can't even imagine how the people were feeling while that was happening. Like I can't even.
It's also odd because like as I was watching it, you saw the cars passing. This is so like dark, so I'm gonna move on in a minute, but like you watch the cars like passing, you see the lights moving on the bridge as you see the ship coming, and like imagine the cars that just barely made it past. Like I was watching and I was thinking, like, imagine looking back and thinking, oh my God, I don't know. It feels odd. I've not been able to sleep well. I have not. I've not been able to sleep well. I was just like kind of terrified. Um, Anywho, and I don't know terrified for what reason, but it just feels odd. And it's even more ominous. Well, let's not use that word. Um, it just feels like we've been programmed in some ways to like not care, um and to like not feel, um and maybe I broken out of that program because I feel terrible, but like it just felt like life went on. There were still deliverables, um there were still emails that you need to there was just still so many things that you needed to do, and it almost felt like if you thought about that, that's just a random fleeting thought, um, because there's so many other things to do that you can't even focus or really center yourself around the feeling of tragedy that just took place and take a moment to kind of like I don't know, mourn. I don't know if it's mourn. I don't know if it's cry. I don't know what, but I feel, I see it. I feel it. I want to engage with it. I'm not quite sure how to. But like my life is going on, and like it's not being hindered in like any meaningful way. It's not being brought up unless I bring it up, or unless I like log on to Twitter or something. So I found that really disheartening. All right, that's my final thoughts on it.
Did
Wait,
y'all?
why are you laughing, Petty?
Who's laughing?
See, this is probably what it means to be desensitized, Petty.
No, it's not how Fast and Furious portrays these events to be. I was expecting people to like hop the gap once it snapped. They did not. That is in fact not
It
what.
didn't snap. It just like collapsed.
Yeah.
It was like all at once, almost. It
I
looked
thought
like.
they was gonna get it up to 120 miles an hour and try and bridge some type of gap. No pun intended. So yes, that was not what happened based on the video I saw.
I'm gonna move on because I don't feel like this is something Petty knows how to engage with on an emotional level. And I think his natural inclination when he's uncomfortable, my natural inclination is to laugh when I'm uncomfortable. This doesn't work that way. And I think Petty's is to make jokes. So I
Yeah.
think
So to move on to some more relatable news.
even the way you just said that was wild.
Yeah, tragedy happens every day. Anyway, so my corporate credit card was suspended, right? I have a certain limit so I can buy janitorial supplies or anything I might need to sweep or mop. Sometimes the broom breaks in half if you have to. In New York, there are these big rats and they are not rat trap size, so you got to hit them with the broom. Sometimes the broom can break. I'm just explaining a scenario where I might need to buy new supplies per the use of a corporate credit card, and my card was suspended. And whenever your card is suspended, you get on an email chain all the way up to the executive vice president of the company. So I'm sitting here with all of these people copied on this email. So my supervisor, my boss, the regional manager, all the way up to the executive vice president of the company. And it's like, your card is suspended, fix X, Y, and Z, or we will escalate it. So apparently they escalated past the vice president. So if we want to talk about tragedy, I have to, and the reason it was suspended, by the
I'm
way.
smiling because I think I finally understand you. I think I finally, for all this time, I think I finally understand you. This
Can you
is how,
explain?
I don't think people who are mad at you should be mad at you. I think this is actually how you process things. I actually believe this is how you process.
Yeah, I'm trying to relate to the bridge story through my own struggles. Okay, well, apparently you know me better than I know me.
Yeah.
But anywho, the reason it was suspended is because I was late to turn in my expense report. So I turned it in and it was unsuspended. So it did not escalate, is what I'm saying. The point is, the moral of the story is to see the good in things.
What is the good in this tragedy that just happened?
You said some people made it across and they were looking back like, whoo.
Got it. I was on that bridge oh, baby G, I am so sorry. From VA to PA an hour before it went down. On my way back, my drive was rerouted because I was too exhausted to notice. I mean, I'm glad you're okay.
See, there's the good in tragedy.
No. I don't actually.
Good is a tragedy. It's that some people avoided or weren't part of it. I don't think that's good in the tragedy.
Some people are part of a tragedy and then have a new outlook on life moving forward.
That's true. That's true, definitely.
And for the people who didn't make it,
Well, they have no life to continue to look for good in anything. But for the people who did make it, like this person who put the thing on the screen, who did not get on the bridge that day, avoided it narrowly, that's good.
all right. I think we're gonna just slowly just move to Candace Owens. I think we're just gonna slowly, quickly, just shift
She was
suddenly.
part of this because I have heard rumors that the mayor in this town was black. So people are pointing that out in regards to this tragedy, that the mayor there is black, and diversity and equity in something, and that may be why this happened. So did Candace Owens somehow, due to being black, orchestrate this? Or is she completely unrelated, you're saying?
Unrelated.
Okay.
So Candace Owens and the Daily Wire decided to part ways. That's not important. She has been going through black media spaces. Um, she's been going on black media spaces, and I am not sure exactly why. Um, but the claim is that she's anti-Semitic. I'm not necessarily going to talk about what she said. I just know that she offended the Jewish community. The Daily Wire, which says they are the beacon of freedom of speech, apparently had a line. She crossed it. She's now starting her own foolishness or whatever she's starting. She announced on X, let me pull up her tweet. She said, "The rumors are true. I am finally free. If you would like to support my work," not me promoting Candace Owens, girl, "you can head to CandaceOwens.com, where you will be directed to my locals page, or you can give a gift at GoCandace.com. So Candace is online begging. That came out wrong. There will be many announcements in the weeks to come. Thoughts? She is being fired from the Daily Wire. And she's now, I think, courting black people.
I think she might know how forgiving and accepting we can be as a black community. So, if things aren't working with one audience, or if she feels like things aren't working with one audience, maybe she's trying to do a pivot or
But I
another.
don't think she's lost her audience. I think her audience will stay with her.
Hmm.
I think she is also trying to get black audiences.
Oh, just build it bigger.
Mhm. Um, for all the talk of sort of ownership, and I'm always concerned when, like, I think someone else said this too, but black Republicans are very aggressively dragging black people for not owning things and pull yourself up by the bootstrap and stop begging or whatever. And to realize that she's in the position she's in. I think a lot of people feel vindicated. That's not necessarily what I feel, because my thoughts are complicated. Um, my thoughts around Candace Owens has always been complicated. One, I find her to be a liar. I think she's very conveniently ignorant about certain things and research. She's very forgetful when it comes to anything that contradicts her viewpoint. She's very quick to defend the white power structure and dismiss the black experience generally. And so, like, there is a natural "I don't care" that comes up. And I wouldn't be talking about this but for Kay, mind you. And so there's a part of me that's like, period. But then there's this other part about like the Daily Wire about allowing her to disparage black people for so long and like allowing that and pretending like freedom of speech is what they're freedom of speech absolutist, right? And then to see this feels very not this, like it's not, it feels like her engagement is not met with the same kind of we are okay with it. So I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't want to be in a position where I'm ever defending Candace Owens because I literally disagree with almost every one of her takes. Like almost all of her takes I disagree with. So yeah, I don't know. What say you, Kay or Petty?
Do you think that, I guess, so what I was saying earlier about her kind of pivoting, but then you said like maybe her original audience, sorry, is going to still be there. Do you think there's strategy with what she's doing now in terms of like going on the Breakfast Club and stuff like that? Or do you think she's kind of just like, I don't know. I guess I'm asking, do you think she has a game plan as it relates to Black people specifically?
I think she wants to be, I don't know if it's accepted back in black spaces, but I think she understands that she's not, so the liberal left wing media will not embrace her or engage with her, right? Um, Tucker Carlson is her close friend on the right, but he's now on Twitter. The Daily Wire is powerful enough, I think, to kind of blackball her depending on how she exit this.
Mhm.
Um, and I've seen this brewing between her and Ben Shapiro. I've kind of seen their back and forth. Ben Shapiro has said some very disrespectful things that were caught on camera. And have essentially told her, if you don't like it here, why don't you quit? So I've seen this kind of brewing. I knew there were going to be a separation or a firing. Let me not say firing, firation. There was going to be a separation or a firation. And so I think Candace is trying to figure out how she's going to land even now. I think there might have been a buyout. I'm pretty sure there is a lot of NDAs involved and there was some kind of buyout. So I think Candace is going to be fine financially regardless.
Mhm.
Plus she's married to like a multimillionaire person over there.
And she still has a large following.
Yeah, so she's fine. I
Yeah.
think she also, though, I think is attempting to probably make a deal with maybe Twitter, Elon Musk, which we'll get it to him in a moment. There are other right wing media companies that would love her because she, regardless of what you think about her, brings in viewership. Now, is it the kind of viewership you want? Well, it's for you to decide. So, yeah.
Hmm.
I yeah, I mean that's. But I mean, what do you want? Do you guys have anything? Not anything, but like, do you want to? How do you view this, and what do you think we should be taking from it?
I agree with you thinking like that she's trying to figure out how she's going to land. Because I mean, the Daily Mail thing was recent.
Mm.
So I don't know if she really knows how much this whole situation or like the alleged anti-Semitism or any of these things are going to affect her career-wise, in terms of the media and stuff like that. So I think she might just be trying to prepare uh, and see what she can do or get going. But like either way, she does have a large following. So, like you said, she's going to be okay financially, but just, I guess, like reputation wise and things like that, she might be trying to figure out what's going on.
I mean, and we also have very short memories. And so Candace might actually attempt to rebrand. Like, in my mind, Candace can never rebrand. Candace is anti-black. Candace, in my mind, I don't care. I think she's anti-Semitic, honestly. Like but um, I remember a long time ago, before she got hired on the Daily Wire, she said Hitler wouldn't have been bad if Hitler only cared about like his own country. It is because Hitler had like a view of like going outside of the borders of his country that made him a bad guy. And I think she was talking about nationalism in this context. And like I remember her doing a hearing, I think in the Senate, on this, and she attempted to like manipulate language in a way that didn't make sense because she definitely said what she said. Um, so yeah, like they knew of her position on Hitler, like they knew this before they hired her. So it's weird now to kind of see this all coming out.
Do you think that she could rebrand to the point that like she's a leader in
Black
black
community, yes, yeah,
spaces
yeah,
and people are just like, you know what? All those things she said before,
yeah. I think so.
we're not
I
worried
think
about
so.
it.
If she finds the right issue, and push on the pressure points, she can. Like, honestly, she could go into the manosphere and take it over.
I was
She
just
could
about
become the
to
next
say,
Devin
I was
Samuels.
Themis. I was literally about to
The-
say that exact same thing about her taking over for KS.
Yeah, I mean, in truth, though, there'll be pushback on who she decided to marry. But the way, even in her language, I watched her Breakfast Club interview. I don't know why I did this to myself. Um, and her blaming welfare and all of that for taking black men out of the home, it was interesting because it felt like she's like attempting to position herself
Yeah.
as always been an advocate for black people. And like,
Especially men, because
well, I think she knows it's easier to get to the men. Like, I think she knows, she is aware of Andrew Tate, for example. She's friends with Andrew Tate, and I think she also understands how to sell to men and black men in particular. And I think she do. If I don't believe she believes anything, I do believe she despises women who are scantily clad or who doesn't show up in a very specific way. I think she fundamentally likes the idea of trad wife, even though she's not one. I think she likes women being more quote unquote demure or whatever she wants. I think she fundamentally believes some of these ideas, and I don't think she's unwilling to like capitalize off of that.
I heard her saying in that interview, like how she was really against like black men being feminized or something like that. And
Yeah.
I was like, look at these talking points. Like,
No, no, no. The thing is, I wouldn't actually say those are talking points for her. I do think those are the things she actually believes.
oh,
When it
I do too.
comes, yeah, I mean, she would be like not perfect, but she would be good for the manosphere
Yeah.
insofar as, like, I do actually think her actual beliefs, if you can dig through all the the fakery, I think at her core, she is that. Like she would probably be yelling at women. She was. She went on some of these podcasts, Fresh and Fit, and she was dragging these women. She was. She
She
was
could
dragging these women.
easily like take over the black manosphere, I think.
I
Because
mean, they don't really have a leader at this point. They're just running around like their heads, like chicken with their
looking
heads
for
chopped
a
off.
leader. So
Yeah,
she could step in easily, I think.
yeah. I mean,
And that would bring like I think her other audience that's not part of the black manosphere would still like support that. So it would like bring a lot of viewership and attention to her if she went that route, I think. Hmm.
Yeah. So, hmm Heidi, any thoughts on this?
Um,
No.
no, I think she is a token black that white people like to use to uphold their beliefs, and she no longer shares the same thought on one idea, so they let her go. Now she will go to black men. Unless you
That
believe
is.
what FD believes, and that black men and black women actually aren't so different politically.
Mm. Do you think black men and black women are very different politically? Because I think so. I think they're very, in my experience, I'm not speaking generally. In my experience, black men and black women are very different politically. Black men don't vote, so they don't engage generally in politics, but I think they tend to be different politically. You think they're not?
I think there are. I do remember FD, good friend of the channel, saying that I think he presented some data and said, oh, they actually do turn up and they actually do vote for left leaning people or Democrat or liberal or whatever. I just haven't looked into the data to verify that yet. So,
Yeah, I mean, black men, when they vote, overwhelmingly vote Democrat. That's clear. Black women, more so, but also vote Democrat. So if you're looking at the numbers, black men and black women vote in alignment. Um, the largest group went to Trump, but even then, it was a very small percentage. But black men were more likely to shift, even though white women were the group that moved the most in terms of voting Republican. Black men also increased. Black men tend to be more conservative generally, and women tend to be more progressive. That actually makes sense to me. The issue with this is that tr- that's not a truism. That's a truth. That truth um, is used by intellectually disingenuous people to cover up the fact that black men have increasingly gone Republican, and the entire black manosphere is that Republican. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Democrat or Republican, but I've spoken to academics. And I remember this is not a huge debate, but we had a discussion over lunch, myself and three black men, academic, their PhD and all of that. And I remember pointing out the fact that Trump got the largest group of black men in recent history. And they were quick to remind me that it was like 5%. I forgot the percentage, but it wasn't really high. And I pointed out, oh, I'm not saying it was a large number. Like, I'm not saying it's a large percent. I'm not saying it's a large raw number. All I'm saying is that there was an increase in black men choosing to vote Republican. And it seems to be that there is a shift where black men in particular are dealing more sort of are espousing more Republican and conservative ideas. And they couldn't accept it. Like they kept repeating it. It was almost like they were broken that black men are the most progressive group of men in America. And I'm sitting there like, I've not disagreed with you, but they're also moving right. I don't think that's good or bad. Do what you want, vote what you want. But it felt like, because I had no preconceived notion or any, like, there was no negativity. Like, there was no negativity at all. Like, I'm not, if you're Republican, I'm not mad at you. If you're Democrat, I'm not mad at you. I can be friends with anyone. And nobody got time for that. But like when I was saying it, it felt like they were offended and they wanted to lie. And I don't like that. I don't like the lie. And it's not even a lie. When they say black men are the most progressive group of men on the face of the earth, face of the earth, it's about what black men vote for. And they vote for Democrat. And that's what the people are using to say they're the most progressive. And it's wild to me. And I'm pretty sure black men are the group, like, there is this notion that black men want the government to, like, help. And I don't like, so the racist approach to this is to say black men are looking for government handout. And that's why they tend to vote progressive, because they want the government. But I do actually think Black people are owed a lot in this country. So it's like, I don't really care what you're saying. But they're also moving, they're tending to move conservative. And I think Black people generally are socially very conservative. And I feel like that hasn't been exploited by the political parties to get them to vote Republican, because I feel like that's a really easy way of exploiting the
I
Black
do.
vote, leaning heavily into religion and social issues would be kind of how you get at Black people, I think. But I could just be making things up on my own theory, but that's kind of how I see it. All right.
Isn't every group of men moving to the right what makes Black men unique?
No, most group of men are right. Black men are unique in that they're left and they're moving right.
Yeah,
Um,
but
not,
aren't most men moving right, even if they're starting from the right?
I mean, that wouldn't matter though. Like that you are significantly right and more people become right in the same group doesn't, I mean, it solidify your power, but it doesn't speak to a larger social change. That you were left and you're going right, I feel like is a phenomena that needs studying.
Okay. Well, if Pearly Things had a spot in the Black Manosphere, then I think Candace Owens will. So I'm sure she'll have an easy time transitioning, um, and she will find someone else to be a token for.
No, I don't think she's gonna have a hard. If look, Candace, if you want to do it, it's easy.
It
In
will
the
be.
Black Manosphere, it's easy. You
I
want to
think
know how I know it's easy? When Candace sat there with both Joe Budden and Charlemagne the God and all of them, she had them eating out of the palm of her hands. Like they're so intellectually lazy and they don't actually do any meaningful political work that everything she said felt like it was new to them. It almost felt like they thought she was like this really highly intellectual person and she was just feeding them knowledge. It was actually quite odd. Like they couldn't hold her to anything because one, it didn't seem like they knew anything, and two, I don't think they have ideological like frameworks for interrogating political positions. You know what I mean? Like I don't think they are thoughtful in that way. And this is not to disparage them. I think their main source of content is about what a rapper is doing, right? So when it comes to tax, for example, outside of them paying tax, I don't think they care to investigate. When it comes to policies that Biden has implemented, I don't think they can name off the top of their head one or two that directly affects like Black people. Like I don't think they're that politically engaged, so I don't expect them to provide any meaningful pushback.
so. When do you think when she comes, like, on these in these different spaces, people look at her as the expert, whereas if she went into a space with actual experts, they would be able to push back more?
Yeah, and she knows. I d- I don't think Candace is dumb. By the way,
I don't
she
either.
knows exactly who to go to. She
Hmm.
knows. I don't like Roland Martin, but do I dislike Roland? I don't have an opinion of Roland Martin. He said some things. I remember him pushing back. There was this Republican guy who was like going around building homeless shelter and teaching kids or whatever. And because he was Republican, Roland Martin had him on the show and tried to drag him. Like, being really disrespectful to him for like no reason outside of the fact that he was Republican, and that annoyed me. I promise. After I saw that, I stopped watching Roland Martin because I like supporting like Black content creators and media outlet because I think it's a good thing. But after watching that, it was like just because he's Republican or conservative, instead of like promoting his organization and like actually helping him, you are going to be mad at him just because he's like, that don't make sense. If you're gonna be mad at him for something he did. Like I'm not about to sit here and listen to you whine and cry about him being conservative. I don't care. Anyway.
Yeah, but if you find out a Klan member had a food drive, do you really care about the food drive? What are
No,
his
but that's
beliefs
a
outside
Klan
of his
member.
organization?
Are you saying
What I'm saying is, what are his beliefs outside of the organization, and are they harmful to Roland's cause?
investigate them? Investigate them and then drag him for those beliefs.
So you're saying he doesn't know the other man's beliefs?
No, he got that man on, said, this is, you have an organization, and I forgot this guy's name. You have an organization, this is what you're doing. I think it's like do for self. Let's find this. And he's talking to the guy about do for self, and the idea was like, what if they can't do for themselves? He's like, the guy's like, well, I am saying do for self, and I'm trying to do this thing. Now, if you have a problem with this, explain your problem with it, but don't tell this person because you're conservative they're terrible and you're going to try to drag them. They might be, and I agree with you, Petty, they might be, but you need to explain why and how. Ain't nobody got time sitting here listening to you drag this young man because do for. Wait, what? You have a pushback. I feel it, and you don't want to say it, Petty.
I don't know this man's political beliefs, but if he's conservative or Republican or whatever have you, I assume he might be anti-abortion, for example. He might be anti-free healthcare or whatever Roland believes in. I'm also not familiar with Roland. I'm just trying to juxtapose things that I believe they might have opposing views on.
Here, let me do it.
You want support Roland Martin Unfiltered?
Do you think this is copyright? And I feel like he might be mad because I'm not like talking positive. I'm gonna probably go back to watching him because I don't have an issue with him. Outside of I saw this and then I divested and I forgot to like go back to it. So like I don't have a problem with Roland Martin, like at all. The Black Man Fan Girl heard you to her being married to real wealth. They want to know her secret. Candace moves in stealth like all right, so this is fair use, but obviously I'm not gonna sit here and fight anyone who wants me to take down their video. Like ain't nobody got time for that. So this psychic lady that I don't watch keeps coming up on my channel. Like everywhere I turn, this white lady with like
I saw her too on TikTok, and I don't know even like
I think she got popular because of P. Diddy, and because I'm watching things on P. Diddy, she like keeps popping up, and I'm like, I'm not.
I just keep scrolling.
No. All right, I don't know where to start because I don't remember, but let's watch some of it so Petty can get some. This is not for the audience, though I love you all. This is for Petty. Mark Lamont Hill is not a good debater. He's not a good interviewer. And I don't think he's the right person to talk to Candace Owens. So I think he would be better. The reason is, I don't know if he knows this, but he's a professor. In my mind, Mark Lamont Hill is a professor who lectures, and he doesn't do well in debate formats. And it's really frustrating to watch because I think a lot of progressive ideas require you to actually think through and talk through very complicated set of rules and principles, right? And I feel like on the opposite end, Republicans can just do their 1-2 gotcha moments. And it's not really an interesting conversation. And Mark Lamont Hill is not very good at simplifying ideas. He's not. I think he's a smart man, mind you, but I don't think he's good at simplifying ideas. So I would not want to see him debate Candace Owens at all, or like interview Candace Owens.
Please explain to me why this bill, why Republicans are pushing for a voter suppression bill when last year we saw record turnout in Georgia, record turnout. So why would they want to restrict voting when you just had record turnout in Georgia?
Well, let me start off by saying you had me mistaken. I'm not a Republican. I do consider myself conservative.
No. Actually, I said Republican. I said you're conservative.
Okay.
I said you're
Right,
conservative.
absolutely.
That's what I said.
Right. Yeah, I was saying that because you called me a Republican on Twitter. However, with this particular bill, I don't consider voting my particular fight. I do consider voting an asset to us and maybe something we can use as a tactic to help. But as far as us pushing voting all the way out, like voting is going to be some systemic change for the Black community, to me is not the way to go. If you look at the human anatomy of the body has many different parts. And I do respect you guys' fight, in regards to voting, but I don't consider myself fighting for the right to vote that much.
Do you not vote?
We haven't got anything.
Do you not vote?
Government. Yes, sir, I vote, absolutely.
Okay, so when you say you guys fight, first of all, there are multiple fights, there are multiple issues we can be concerned about. Voting is one of those issues. Are you not concerned that Republicans in your state are trying to restrict access to the ballot for no reason other than they are pushing the lie that Donald Trump also pushed?
Right, absolutely. I understand exactly what you're saying. However, again, that's not my fight. I believe.
No. I asked you a question. The question is this here. Do you believe Republicans in your state are wrong to be pushing this voter suppression bill?
Can you give me the list of things that's all on the bill? Because I know you said the voter ID.
Well, no, here's a perfect example.
Okay.
This particular bill right here gets rid of no excuse absentee balloting. Republicans in Georgia passed no excuse absentee balloting 15 years ago, thinking it was going to help them. They're angry because you had people who voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and also John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock ones. So they're changing the law because they're angry they lost at the ballot box. But for 14 years, it was fine until last year. Is that, again, do you consider that to be egregious on the part of Georgia Republicans? Why would they change the law because they lost? How about making a better argument for the voters?
I agree with you. I do. I agree with you. I'm not against you there. I definitely think that is an issue that I believe you guys could fight. But that, again, voting is not my issue to fight. I believe.
So what's your issue to fight?
My issue, I fight for young Black men before they die. And that's what I do in my organization. I do teach them to vote, but I don't tell them that voting is going to be the be all end all.
No one says the be all end all, but it's a part of it.
But you guys promote voting like it's just going to change like the systemic outlook of the Black community. That's not where it's at. We have to get out and go do for self in our own communities.
So define do for self.
When I say do for self, you shared one of my tweets, my videos, and I was actually a big fan of yours, but you shared one of my tweets when I said Black people need to stop begging the government and go and do for self out in our communities. You shared the video and called me an idiot. I didn't see anything idiotic about that statement.
No. So when you say do for self, like what? Explain that.
Okay. For example, here in Albany, Georgia, we complain about our school systems a lot. Many of our young men can't read. They have very horrible literacy rates. We don't have any rehab programs here for juvenile offenders. What I decided to do, I started a program 2 years ago, decided to do for self. And I started taking children into my home. I started taking custody of kids from juvenile court, and I started molding them and training them and teaching them skill trades, etc. Now I'm 21 years old. I just purchased a school here in Albany, Georgia, to combat us being in the government-funded schools that are not teaching our children what they need to learn. So that's what I mean by do for self. Simply getting up and going out and do it.
So
I beat the stereotype that I'm young Black in America and I can't do anything because somebody's holding me down. Absolutely not.
So a question.
Teenagers went and go ahead. Me and some teenagers went and bought a school, and we just bought a school bus simply from going out and doing work. We decided to go fix our own communities. I'm not expecting anything from no politician. I'm not expecting nothing from Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or nobody. We're gonna go do it for ourselves, and that's what I believe we need to be doing. I can vote, sure, but nothing's gonna change in our community.
So you went to the juvenile court system. Is that not government?
Absolutely.
So when you say purchased a school, and this school is gonna be what? Private school, charter school? What kind of school is it gonna be?
No, it will be independently owned. This will not be funded by the government.
No, that's why I asked you. So it's gonna be a private school.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a boarding school.
A boarding school. And then for the folks to be able to afford to send their kids to the boarding school, what kind of mechanisms are they using in Georgia? Their own funds? Are they using school vouchers? What are they using?
I can't hear you say that again for me.
I said, what mechanism are they using to send their kids there to pay for the school? Their own money, or are they utilizing?
In truth, we're going to actually continue to watch this. Roland Martin is not wrong, mind you. Roland Martin, I don't think is wrong. What is happening here Roland Martin retweeted this man and called this boy dumb, right? Because of his conservative views and saying do for self or whatever. This person, I haven't checked in on him. I don't know what he's doing, but at the time of the video, this person is building a school, bought a school. He is taking kids in to his own homes, young men, and he's actually trying to help them. This is not the person you yell at. Mind you, Roland invited him there to talk about his Do For Self organization and decided to ambush this man with questions around voting rights and why he's not fighting his party against voting rights. And the guy's like, oh, I didn't know about that. Glad you know, glad you're fighting it. This is what I am doing with my organization. And this continues throughout the entire interview, where Roland, a grown man, is attempting to get a gotcha moment with this young man, also a grown man too. And I find it really horrendous. Like, I find this actually horrendous. And I don't think Roland is wrong. I think you have to go and require systemic change. But what this man is doing is also good. So what do you know? Sorry, Petty, you can respond if you want.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Conservatives do this, and I assume Roland is on the opposite side. So I would say do a better job at getting gotchas. This does not look good for him.
Oh yeah, no. They dragged him for a year straight. Roland Martin, I don't think he's lived this down. Like they've dragged him, thankfully. Everyone, conservative, Democrats, everyone was in alignment with each other, saying Roland Martin was dead wrong. And I was here for it. Because this is a young man at 21 purchasing a school. I don't know how true this is, never investigated. Taking in young men from the juvenile system and actually investing in individual instead of complaining every day about the system, which you should, and you should endeavor to change. But like, there should not be a conflict. This should be, okay, we can work together. I don't like your political view. You just said you don't like what they're doing, young man, with voting. You can understand my apprehension to your political leaning, even though those people are trying to restrict voting. I hope we can get to a consensus on how that's wrong. But I also appreciate what you're doing over here. Can you tell me more about your organization? Like, don't try to browbeat this man on to join your organization, girl. Why you? No. You nobody got time for that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
not everybody cares to coddle black men. Some people don't want to wear kitty
who
gloves.
do you think needed coddling there?
The young man.
Who you think he in this conversation? You think he needed coddling?
You're saying even though Roland has a point, he needs to speak gently, and that he shouldn't be yelling at this man. And
No. Roland's
his black business and
Roland's point is not incorrect, but I promise you, it rounds up against agency, and agency is much more palatable in my mind generally and palatable not in political correctness, but easier to do.
Does he say in this that the school is like stupid? It's a stupid idea to try and get black boys to school and read? Or is he like, what is his position against the school? I guess you're saying he
doesn't have a position against the school. He's just mad at this man for no reason.
So he's not for or against the school. He's just neutral towards it.
Well, I don't know what his opinion is because he's just yelling at this man for no reason. This man already said, that sounds like a you fight. I don't know anything about this voting thing. Sounds like a you fight. And he's still mad. It is a you fight. You don't know about it. How are you going to fight something you don't know? Why are you yelling at him?
Maybe Roland is a more community person and this man is more individualistic and they are coming to conflict.
I would disagree with that statement.
But why is it so hard for some people? Like, I think some people have an issue with trying to understand someone else's position if it's not the same as theirs. Like, it doesn't have to be a fight. There doesn't have to be an argument. There can just be people doing different things that are ultimately all like towards the same goal, but just everybody can't care about everything.
Yeah, and not everyone is gonna see eye to eye with you.
Okay, now y'all tore me up for this bridge when I said I didn't care. Now y'all are coming in here. We can't care.
Wait, you didn't say you didn't care, because if you said you didn't care, I would tear you up.
I mean, I cared as much as I did about the submarine, or as much as this man cares about voting. He probably thinks it's bad, but that's not his fight. So I don't disagree with him. I don't think Roland disagrees with him either, actually. But he does look distasteful in this.
You said cuddle, and I'm talking about respect. I can't make you care. So if you don't care, you don't care. It's fine. We're gonna watch it because Roland was wrong. So we're gonna not finish it, but watching up more.
Vouchers from the Georgia government.
Absolutely. So for our school, we're financed completely by donors. We have many donors that have given yearly endowments to our school that will be able to pay for these students to come to our school for free. Many people believe in our mission, and we're making sure that young black men, where we live, where we don't have any rehab programs for juvenile offenders to even get out of jail and stay out of jail, we have people that believe in our mission that are trying to send children to the Extra Boys for free. We have many people that are trying to send kids to this boarding school to be able to take care of themselves. That's what I mean by doing for self. We got to simply get up and do it.
So you don't believe that government policymakers play any role whatsoever in being able to impact the lives of black boys and others in Georgia?
If we take them out of that government system, we don't have to worry about that. I keep saying,
how is that? So hold on. Here's the question. Hold up. Here's the question. Mm-hmm. How do you remove someone out of a government system when we all live in government systems?
Okay, being literal, absolutely, we all live in a government system. Absolutely. However, you can do things to take your.
And this young man is not dumb. That was a gotcha moment Roland tried to set up. Again, why? Why are you doing that? Like, I don't understand why you are so mad at him. Like, there's no reason to be mad at him at all right now. Like, there's zero reason to be mad at him. None. In this convo.
To remove most government from your life.
How?
As far as trying to get yourself out of food stamps,
How?
trying to get yourself out of welfare. You got to go work. You got to get jobs. You got to get out here and go and do it.
So hold up. So somebody, hold up. So I'm just curious. So if somebody doesn't have a job, are they not applying to government for unemployment benefits or insurance?
Absolutely.
So how can that person remove themselves out of government when that's what government provides?
Absolutely. Well, my thing is trying to make sure you're not allowing the government to finance your whole entire life. As long as you're giving somebody the right to feed you, you're giving them the right to starve you as well. People are living their whole lives off the government systems. At the day the government decide, well, we're gonna cut food stamps, we're gonna cut this and cut that. What we gonna do? We have people out here living off those systems. So I believe in teaching our people how to go survive without the government. That's my big thing.
But again, though, you keep saying I'm trying to understand. You keep saying how to survive without the government. You act as if a young black boy who comes into your program will not interface with government in any way.
This man literally just said he's not speaking literally. He's just talking about weaning off complete dependence on the system. By the way, I don't disagree with Roland Martin. I disagree with it being used now, but I don't generally disagree with the idea that we need systemic change and we can't move out of the system. But like, the issue here is that this man is providing like an immediate solution while you, Roland, can go fight the system.
Do you think that maybe, but I mean, I don't know if this is the case, but do you think that maybe Roland is trying to like, I guess, show him like, I guess, put him in a situation that's hard where there's a lot of pushback, like in a way to like toughen him up for these types of, I don't know.
No, because Roland Martin and him had an interaction on Twitter where Roland called him an idiot, essentially. And he says, why would you do that? Respectfully. He comes on here respectfully, and they're having a conversation. Mind you, Roland, the invite, based on the back and forth, was about him talking about his do for self organization. And Roland has a problem with his title saying do for self because it's a Republican, it's a pull yourself up by the bootstrap kind of talking point, which I get. I can understand why Roland would be ticked off by that. But sitting here talking to this man, unless you're going to drag him for something he did or said, we're not doing this.
Okay, so he actually has an issue. It's not like he's just being critical and trying to make sure that this person can back up what he's saying. He like actually was talking negatively about him before on Twitter or X.
Twitter. Petty people willingly got on the submarine. I don't think, thank you, Jesse, but I don't think trying to make Petty have sympathy for people, trying to make people, not Petty, but people have, I don't try hard to make other people.
I didn't say I don't have sympathy, by the way.
You who make people care more for things than they do, right? Is that better?
Yes. So they willingly got in the submarine. I have some bad news for you about how those people got in their car and on that bridge.
Are you saying the necessity for both are the same?
No, but if we're talking about someone willingly doing something and then an accident occurs.
Yeah, but one is in the normal course of activity and the other is not. And so I'm not trying to change your mind. The attempt to position them as the same or similar feels dismissive about kind of normal activity versus like an outrageous test of nature.
So you would consider it like bungee jumping, the submarine, I mean, like bungee jumping or skydiving or something that's not natural.
Not well, I don't know about natural, but yeah, not in the normal course of business or daily activity.
Okay, that's fair.
way. They will interface with government still driving down the street. They will interface with government trying to get a driver's license. They will interface with government trying to get a voter ID. They will interface with government trying to apply for financial aid to go to college. So they're going to interface with government in many ways. The point I'm saying is, doesn't it make sense that black folks should be engaged in a political process to where we are impacting policy that also impacts us? Or are you saying that doesn't matter at all?
I only believe that we should breed politicians in our community that we raise ourselves. People that are funded by white Democrats, white Republicans alike. If you were funded by anybody white, I don't believe you have the best interest of our community at all. I don't care who you are. Whether you be Raphael Warnock, John Ossoff, Kelly Loeffler, or what's his name, the other guy that was running. I don't care who you are. You don't have the best interest of the black community at heart because we are not funding their campaigns fully. I believe that we have to raise our own politicians, which is what we're trying to do in our program. We are going to put them in government. Some of them want to go run for positions, but we know we bred them in our communities.
But wait, hold on. See, not
nothing white Democrats that came and gave us and spent millions of dollars on all these ads and got folks all riled up about these guys for you to come keep black people, remain a Democrat Party and a Republican Party side chick. They only come to the black community when they want our vote to get off and then disappear. We don't ever see them again.
But here's the thing that's again interesting. You just offer contradiction. You first say you want to remove people from government, but then you say you're raising them to run. So which one is it?
When I say remove from government, I'm saying keep as much government out of your life as possible.
But how are you raising people to run for office?
All right, can we agree? We can move on from this because if I continue, I'm going to drag. And I actually remember why I stopped watching him. I will continue to watch him after this, but like, that's not okay. Like that level of intellectual dishonesty from Roland's part is weird. Petty, I'm saying that for your response.
I think they were both miscommunicating. You said earlier.
Wait. You think Roland didn't understand what he was saying?
I don't think he was giving. I don't think the young man could articulate himself well enough to come to an agreement with Roland.
Do you think Roland was purposely trying to get him to articulate himself better, or do you think he disagreed and just didn't understand what he was saying?
I don't think they could even come to a disagreement because it felt like Roland was swinging out of the gate. So I don't even think they disagreed at any point. I think it was a communication failure on Roland's part, but also the man could not articulate himself enough to escape this type of.
Wait, you think he couldn't? Because I understood him. I don't know.
Yeah, you're watching in retrospect, though. I feel like he was confusing, and he could have communicated better. But that's
so. You think when someone said we're trying to like stop the government aid or whatever, he meant completely, like, because the way Roland interpreted that was you can never ever, if you live in America, completely remove yourself from the government.
Is that how he interpreted it?
Huh?
Is that how he interpreted it?
Yeah, that's literally what he was arguing against.
Like, no, I thought he was saying you know that you can't fully remove yourself, right? Roland says, so you think we can remove ourselves, obviously, so he can answer. I don't think Roland thought that he was actually.
No, that's what it's impossible for Roland to have said that, to believe that. But that's what Roland was arguing. That's what Roland is still arguing. Roland, keep arguing. How are you going to do it? Isn't the government this? You're trying to put people back into government, so how can you remove yourself from government? And he's missing the point intentionally. Roland Martin is being completely dishonest.
I still disagree.
With what?
I don't think he was operating in dishonesty. I do think it was a communication failure. And I do think it was mostly on Roland's part, since he's, to my understanding, experienced in these type of conversations, or no?
Yes. I think Roland.
I would place more on his part.
Yeah. I feel like he was attempting to scold this young man publicly.
Yeah, I do too.
And that was the only reason for him bringing him on there. And because of that, he didn't really engage in a conversation. He was just looking for his moments, which he found none. Because, again, Roland got dragged for a year at least. And I was watching it. Yeah. Anywho, we'll move on from that. So Candace Owens is in. Yes or no? Y'all ready to watch Candace Owens tell us how we can live as Black folks?
No. I mean, I don't really.
Period. Anywho, because Candace Owens is in, let's continue. I'm not gonna go to Elon Musk yet. P. Diddy. 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 Dirty money. Hello, good morning. I just came up in it a little bit self-centered, but did I kill a queen? The Alexander McQueen got the rusk on, but the bottles on Paul got the shimmy, shimmy, yay, shimmy, yay, shimmy, yow. All right. Different song. That is a different song.
It was a mashup. We were doing a mashup.
So Diddy's home in Cali and I think Miami. Well, Florida. Miami and Florida. Florida and California got raided. His sons were there, I think at the California house, and they were put in handcuffs. I heard reports that they were jailed. They weren't. They were released. Diddy is nowhere to be found. I need to be refreshing my Twitter because he might be caught right now. Like he might actually be caught right now. Like the news is like still going, and people. I think they said they found him at like an airport because his private plane was in the Caribbean, but he wasn't on it. And so I am not sure necessarily if there's a warrant out for his arrest or if the the FBI, the CIA, Homeland Security, the military is like just running rampant in his homes, just trying to drag things and capture him. I don't know what's happening. I honestly don't know what's happening.
Did he actually get on his private jet and go somewhere?
No.
Okay,
he
so that was a rumor.
Jet. No, the jet was in the Caribbean. He wasn't on it.
Oh.
Someone said they heard Mexico. So there's like a bunch of different questions that I have, right? The first one has to do with Young Miami and whether or not Young Miami will be implicated. It must be all kinds of wild to be going back and forth with someone on the internet and say some messed up stuff like, if I want, I could make Diddy make you do this to me, right? That tweet alone, for me, implicates Young Miami. Carisha,
Young
please.
Miami, Carisha.
Yep. So she's implicated in this, right? There's no way to escape it. And she's not addressing any of this publicly. There was a tweet where she's like, here, what's up? Like, here I am. I don't know what she's doing. In any case, Diddy seems to be, in a lot of people's mind, the Epstein of the rap industry. And now there are conversations happening, and I'll show you one of them, where people believe that he's being set up, and this is just another attempt to take down the black man. I have very conflicting ideas around this, but I believe he did most of what he's alleged to have done. And because of that, I don't care if he's being set up with the truth. So before we get any further, any thoughts? Because I do actually have some questions here.
Candace Owens tweeted about this, right?
No, I don't care. Sorry.
But I'm saying, like, this just goes along with her, like, you know, getting into black.
I thought you meant she actually did. Oh, I don't know.
No, she did. She tweeted something like, he's gonna be the fall guy. Like, they're just trying to cover up for the people above him or something like that.
Oh, wait, that's her take on it? That's interesting. Oh, she really trying to get in good with y'all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She decided a lane. But do you have thoughts on what's happening with Diddy?
What you were saying about people talking about you know, this being a situation where people are trying to bring down the black man. I definitely saw that take more than a couple of times online. And, you know, if he is guilty of the things that he's being accused of, I don't understand the mindset of saying, well, you know, white people do it too, so why are they getting him? My thing is, when it comes to creeps or, you know, people that do certain things, certain, you know, atrocities are committed, I do not care what race they are. Like, the more of them that get caught, the better.
I agree with you. The Breakfast Club is acting all the. You know what I hate? I hate when I can see through foolishness. Like, I like the veil to be pulled over my eyes if you're going to attempt to pull it over my eyes. Like, I don't like to be able to see through the mess if there's mess happening. Like, because like Charlemagne is up there talking about, I just don't like what's happening. It just feels like his legacy is gonna. Well, let me play this. Please don't let there be a copyright on this, but fair use. Y'all need to hear this. Because Charlemagne is out here crying, pretending like he don't know what's happening. Let me play this.
The sad thing is, if he's found innocent, his world is destroyed.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, but when Harvey Weinstein was going through the same thing, I don't remember them raiding his crib like that. I don't remember them pulling up on guns and military and helicopters and boats. I don't remember all that and the super big long rifles and pistols. I don't remember that from him when they arrested him. I just thought that was just a lot.
I'm not, here to compare anything. I'm not even going to do the whataboutism, but I don't like any of this. Like, if this stuff is true, then as you can see, Diddy will be held accountable. But sit around and act like I enjoy hearing any of this, I don't. So when you hear, Jeff with the mess talking about these stories and it sounds like I don't want to talk about it, it's because I don't like seeing people's legacies destroyed. Especially if we find out it's self-inflicted. It makes me think about all types of things. Why can't people get out there?
You have a show talking about what is happening in the music industry, doing hot takes, giving people donkey of the day, but you're sitting up there talking about, oh, I don't want to talk about. If you see me and I look like, because they've been getting dragged. They've been getting dragged for not talking about this in any depth. And he's like, if you see me and I don't want to talk about this, it's because I don't want to talk about this. I don't like seeing people's legacy get pulled down like this. You're not about to convince me that he's not in some mess. You're not about to convince me he's not in some mess.
If only they were aware of do for self, then they would know that, yes, this criminal justice system is racist. So it's up to you to not do crimes so as not to be punished by an unfair system. They could have known this if they had only listened to King Randall.
All right, you obviously don't care to engage.
So with this whole, okay, do y'all think that there's going to be a lot that comes out because of this? Because, like, I've been looking at different people's takes online about this and, TikTok and all that. And there are a lot of other people being named. And I'm sure these people are at home like, oh my goodness, like, I was not trying to be brought up in this whole thing at all. So, like, I feel like a lot of people they're probably not going to say anything unless they have to. But what do you think is going to be the result of this? Like, is it going to go on for a long time and a lot more people are going to be brought up and talked about and, things they've done brought to light? Or do you think it's just going to kind of pass by?
I think Diddy is a fall man. I think Diddy probably engaged in something he was told not to, and this is his punishment. Because I think that most of the people in Hollywood, I have nothing to back this up, operate exactly like him, and I wish they all would go to prison. Everyone who's done things like this should probably go to prison. I think this has been the norm. I don't think Diddy exists in a community of people who are good people. You cannot know what Diddy is doing and just be okay with it and fine with it. And it seemed the entire industry knew about him. It just seemed like, so for me, I feel like it's I keep saying, how did the Me Too movement skip hip hop? And I do actually mean that. the fact that this is happening and like Cassie was the sort of catalyst for public acknowledgement of what people have been saying for years now. I feel like it's wild. I feel like it's wild. And do I believe he's like someone powerful is using him? Yeah, I do. I do. I don't know where I got that from. I have the sense that this is not just a kind of normal course of business, of activity, and people are just like, oh, he did this. Cassie was right. Let's investigate. No, I don't think that happened. No, absolutely not. I think he made someone mad. He made someone very powerful very mad. Um, and they all have skeletons, and I don't have a problem with that. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, if I believe he did a lot of what they're saying he did. So the fact that this is payback, I don't have a problem with that. But I also want other people to be taken down and to clean what Trump said, drain the swamp. So that's my opinion on it.
Do you think that those people that are, the, I guess, highest level in terms of power, money, whatever, that are participating in these unsavory activities, do you think that they are like invincible when it comes to this? Or do you think that someday they will be taken down, exposed, whatever the case may be?
I mean, they're as invincible as we pretend to be dumb. So, I mean, I think they are not invincible, but they're, in terms of accountability, unless we, the people, decide to hold people accountable, then yes, they're invincible. I don't know why, and I could be wrong. Like, I'm literally, my justification is it just seemed odd that everything is unfolding the way that it is. I am happy that it's unfolding because people have been saying Diddy is like a terrible person and engages in this way, and I don't believe Cassie was lying on him. So, like, I believe he did it. So, face some consequences. Just got here. I'll catch the replay. Oh, thank you, Molly.
What do you think is odd?
Charlemagne was like, this is close to home for him, and Envy was happy Diddy didn't do real estate, right? Because they still haven't really talked about the real estate scam that is DJ Envy allegedly. What were you saying?
What do you think is odd about how it's unfolding?
Oh, I just think it's Cassie's lawsuit and then everyone's lawsuit feels like this is not something people would normally want to put into the public domain. And Cassie giving people courage, while that makes sense, that I think it was New York Police Department put out a statement that they weren't investigating, which implied that they were, from my perspective. But then they later came out and clarify that the previous statement was put out prematurely. I'm like, okay, girl, period. We see each other. That Diddy is not, yeah, Diddy is kind of aware that this was about to happen, that he can't be found. Like, I'm pretty sure if they really wanted, they can find him. The way it is coming out, it feels like there are people who know a lot of stuff that he did, and I believe he did a lot of this, and they're putting him on blast now. I don't know why.
What's odd about that, though?
What do you mean?
Like, people putting him on blast for things.
There are multiple people who are doing the exact same thing, and they are not getting put out because Cassie gave people courage. I'm not saying I am right. It feels, from my perspective, without any evidence, that this is orchestrated.
I don't know. Like,
when you disagree, you can explain.
Yeah, I'm about to, because I've heard a lot of people saying like, this is odd, and like, this has to mean that or whatever. And I was just thinking about it. This seems like a pretty standard course of action. Like, one person says something about a specific thing, and then other people that know something about that thing say stuff about that same thing. Like, even, I mean, just in general, that's kind of how things play out. So I don't find that in and of
I mean,
itself.
you could be right. I just don't see this happening to a a billionaire in this way. So, I, I mean, you could be right, and I don't see any issue with your reasoning.
Isn't that how they got Young Thug? It wasn't like they just got him one day. It was like, okay, we're charging you. And by the way, we've actually been investigating you for 8 years. So here are all these charges as well. It's not just one. And here are all your associates who we've also been investigating. And now we're going to just do one case instead of just doing individual things. So
Someone said, does Seamus think this is a conspiracy against the black men too, huh? Nope, I don't think it's a conspiracy against the black men. I think he did everything, not everything. I think he probably did most of what he's being told. So, like, a conspiracy for me would be like, he didn't do it and they're lying on him. I think he did a lot of this, and I think he thought he was immune. I also think the chicken are coming home to roost. I think they're now showing like you did this, and now we can use it against you. And I actually do believe a lot of people do a lot of things in Hollywood, and if they step out of line, eh, they will be put back in line. Now, this is a tinfoil hat moment. I have no proof of any of this. It is just a feeling that I am getting, not necessarily a truth. I have to put that out there. Not them, black men trying to give Diddy the MLK. Right. This is the thing. Like, my thing is, did he do it? That's the thing. Did he do these things? Yes, he did. In your mind, in my mind, yes. I don't care. Like, I lock him up. Justice needs to be served. I don't. But I think I mean, I don't know necessarily if I don't know necessarily if people should care about whether or not it is some sort of cabal controlling people, and when you don't move exactly how they want you to move, they'll put your worst information out there to control you. Um, I don't know if people should care, but I would want to know that. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not going to say don't do it. He did the bad thing, but because you're trying to use it against them, don't do it. No, use it against him. He did the bad thing. I don't care, but I think I would want to know why. But it's a conspiracy theory, so it is what it is. I'm willing to help to help create a list of witness, Fabulous, J-Lo, Foxy, 50 Cent, Wendy Williams, etc. Don't forget Dylan from making the band. I can't imagine what he had them people in making the band do, actually.
Remember when he made them walk to get that cheesecake?
Everyone has been repeating that on Twitter.
I remember.
It's like
I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's the election year, y'all. The Hunger Games have begun. Oh wait, wrong movie. Yeah, I just it doesn't feel as organic as I think. I think Kay's reasoning is solid, but from my perspective, it doesn't feel as organic. And as someone who engages deeply in law and legal work, when things seems so very well orchestrated and explained away, it doesn't feel as real as it shows up. Diddy isn't the fall guy; he is the weak link that's detrimental to the chain. Or that Miss Audio. Conspiracy Cuba Goody mentioned Diddy and will mention Jay-Z. Well, we'll see, because everyone Jay-Z was trending. Jay-Z was trending also. And look, I'm here for all of the mess. Like, expose everyone that needs to be exposed. Expose.
What do you think Beyonce will do you think, well, she probably wouldn't say anything regardless.
No, I don't know.
What happened?
Everyone can get dragged. Oh my God, I forgot about B5. But you know where I stand. If what is being said about Diddy is true, I cannot begin to imagine what these young men went through. I cannot begin. I just hope I'm wrong. I hope my theory about like what actually happens in Hollywood and I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong. But let's what? Petty, you have thoughts? I think you agree with Keddy and not me, right? Because I mean, there's nothing for. By the way, it's okay to not agree with me on this because this is just an instinct that is not predicated on anything. Like I'm fully
It's a
conspiracy
lie.
theory. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, um, it is predicated on a bunch of stuff that I can probably sit down and outline. I don't care enough right now to do that, and the reason is I don't got no sympathy for this man. So after he's been tried, convicted, and imprisoned, then I will retroactively go and try to figure out why and how the lining up from the law to retroactively sue civilly in New York to kind of Cassie coming forward and other people coming forward and like kind of the sequence of events. I might track that to just put my board up and like do my conspiracy theory thing. But for now, I'll let it happen first. Petty,
What is B5?
B5 giving you something to move to. Do you know hydraulics?
No.
They were a really okay group. I was gonna say good, but I bailed because they could dance, but vocally, I didn't really like their voices. They could sing too, but yeah, B5 was a boy band.
Do you
I
think
don't know that group either.
Huh?
I don't know that group either.
Let me show you them.
Do you think they're on par with B12?
I think they had a ton of potential. B5.
Oh no, I've never seen them in my life.
Really?
Never.
Why did I think they were bigger than they were then?
What year are they from?
I don't remember. I know my little cousins were obsessed.
Are they from like the last 10 years or before that?
Before that, yeah. When was hydraulics?
Is that a different group?
No, they had a song called Hydraulics.
Oh, I never heard that song.
Have you ever heard of this band? Do they look familiar, Kay?
No.
Okay.
When you said B12, I thought you were making jokes about vitamins. I don't know.
Wait, here they are as kids. Someone said to show them as kids.
Definitely never saw them before.
All right.
Well, it's good that they had a glow up because that looked not good. I'm not gonna lie. The kid picture looked good.
Justin Bieber too. Anyway, so here is what this man had to say, and I'm gonna make sure you all don't conflate what I'm saying with what this man is saying because I don't want none of that. So here.
60 armed guards are raiding two of Diddy's cribs right now, issued by the Southern District of New York, a federal agency. So I began to think, didn't Cassie just sue him about 3 or 4 months ago for $30 million? How did Cassie get ahead of the feds on the Diddy case? That's because she didn't. This was a play to drain his resources so he'd become an easier target so he'll plea out. And then 60 armed guards, but Diddy got ahead on him and wasn't there. One of those guards was going to see an imaginary gun in Diddy's hand. And, that's how they did Fred Hampton, H. Rap Brown, and numerous other black leaders.
To liken Diddy to black leaders like Fred Hampton is absolutely bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre to me. Anyway, let me continue.
What?
All of this is starting to make me think Diddy is being framed and he's innocent. I mean, think about it.
What?
No, No. All right, let me continue.
With Harvey Weinstein, they had emails and everything they showed. With this, it's just kind of like, she said it, it's true, let's lock him up. And if he is guilty, I mean, well, just show us some proof. Just show us the proof. And I'll be like, okay. But they've been doing us like this for years, man, and y'all still falling for it. Show us the proof, and then I believe you. When the facts change, my opinion will change. But until now, I'm just looking like, okay. In other words, I'm standing with Diddy until they show us some proof.
Wouldn't the
They
rage and all
show
of that be to
like
like
blood
gather
period.
evidence?
Just
What
a
is he
what?
talking about? He's acting like the man is already convicted and in prison. Like that didn't happen yet.
No, that's what he's saying. He's saying, show us some proof. Or
Well, that's what I mean, that's obviously what needs to happen before he gets in trouble or is charged.
yeah.
So what is he talking about?
I don't know what this man is talking about, but like the thing is, I wonder if people don't believe what Cassie said happened. That's my thing, because they keep saying, "Show us proof," and like I'm sitting here, kind of like, so do you believe he was involved in like a sex trafficking ring? Because it feels like that's kind of like we all kind of agree with this. And maybe you do need more proof, and that will show up, like Kay just said, in the courtroom. But I'm confused why he's mad online. Like, I'm confused.
The way he even said it, he was saying like, oh, she said it, lock him up. He's not locked up. He settled. He paid
Yeah.
her. So like, what is he? You know, I always find it very interesting where people like make up things to be mad about. And it's like none of that even happened. So what are you talking about? But it's like people find comfort. Some people find comfort in being angry and they just like want it to be the case. And it's like that didn't even
Yeah.
happen. So what are we talking about?
It could be the case that Cass's complaint triggered a more meaningful investigation, particularly because in the complaint, Cassie alleged that Diddy claimed that he bought certain agents and like could get out of certain things. And the second complaint was naming a bunch of people in the police. Like at some point, you're gonna have to do something, but do I believe Cass's complaint triggered this? All of this? I do not. I don't. I don't believe that, but I don't have any reason to explain it right now. I think this is way bigger than Cass's complaint.
You think Candace Owens will have a difficulty appealing to this audience? Fellow Hitler was not such a bad guy, Candace Owens.
No, I think she gonna fit right in. I think she gonna play them and take all of their money. And look, if Candace becomes a part of the Black manosphere, I can talk about her because I definitely made a commitment and I haven't gone back on this commitment that I will not be dragging any of the women in the Black manosphere. I think they should be allowed to make their bag. It's terrible that they make their bags on such terrible talking points, but it's not my place.
She might as well. I think she might as well.
Yeah.
She might as well.
I forgot because I haven't been too connected to the internet lately, but it does come out whenever Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Young Thug, or whoever gets convicted or charged with something. There's conspiracy theories for like the next 6 months. I almost forgot. Plus, Cat Williams with this interview a few months ago has people hyper when it comes to conspiracy theories. So now we're going to get these super well thought out Diddy theories as we've just watched. So I'm just saying to prepare because that was hard to listen to.
Someone said I drag Oyster. No, absolutely. Oyster don't get no kind of protection. She gonna get dragged. She will continue to get dragged. Yeah, that my cloak of protection don't go that far. my cloak. No, I do not. No, absolutely not. I feel no bad. I don't feel bad. I don't feel like a hypocrite. I don't care. Oyster was not a part. When I said I wouldn't talk about the women making money off of men in the Black manosphere, it didn't include Oyster. There was an exemption. I have caveats and exemptions. She was in the exemptions. Absolutely not.
Close.
Shine took the L, did his time, took the bribe from Puffy, moved to believe in Parliament, and said, I'm going to be back in the US as a diplomat. Period. Well, let's read some super chats. Kiwi Bones, welcome to the membership.
Hello.
Diddy was about to buy NBC. Look, wasn't he supposed to be in like a war for the liquor we thought he owned but found out he did? Well, was it DeLeon? I don't drink alcohol like that, so I don't know. Some alcohol girl that he was like warring over, and people are now saying that's why. Proof is in the fact that he paid 30 million overnight, right? And the last one. Candace said, if Pearl can do it, so shall I. Period. I'd much rather Candace make that money than Pearl. All right. So, final thoughts on Diddy. In truth, there is not much to talk about. There is not much that we know about the investigation. We do know about the civil suits. We've already spoken about those. He's rightfully been dragged. Separately, his homes are being raided, girl. And this looks like a really huge kind of investigation that his drug mule, or his alleged drug mule has been arrested too. So like it's going down basement. Friday the 13th, guess who's playing Jason? Tuck yourself in, you better hold on to your teddy. Guess who's going to jail? I guess it's gonna be Diddy. So people say Ciroc. Girl, it's Ciroc. I don't know. Ciroc and Diddy are synonymous at this point. So yeah. Kat said Christian liars and the boys now have a new talking point. Period. All right. So do you guys have any questions, concerns, comments?
So, with the whole, how some people say like the raid is to cover up like their raiding so they can go in and hide stuff. Why would there need to be like a raid for that? Why couldn't they have just gone there on a day, did what they need to do? Like, I don't know. I think sometimes things get like overly, I mean, I know we can't trust everything in the media for sure, but I think sometimes things like get overly theorized into conspiracies. Sometimes people did do something or didn't, and they're looking for evidence. I don't know. I guess I'm just interested to see what happens, because in my head, I'm like, why would you need to orchestrate a raid to hide something when you could have just went there any other day? Like, what? I don't know.
I don't understand. Wait, what were you saying?
Like, why would, how some people were saying like, the raid was so that they could go and hide things, or, that's some
Who can
people
go and hide things?
The people doing the raiding, I guess, go like hide evidence to cover up for people that are above Diddy in this whole thing. Like some people have
I've
that.
not heard that, but now you put that in my head.
So like that's some people's take. In fact, that was what was in the Candace Owens tweet, that the raid was to cover things up and not find things, something like that. And to me, I'm just like, would they have to do all that if they were trying to cover something up? Like they could.
Wait, you think that's far-fetched? Not planting. So you are not saying, you are saying that there are people who are conspiracy theorists who are saying Homeland Security and all of them were told to go to Diddy and home and take the evidence that Diddy would have on them
and hide it. Like, I think that's what some people are thinking. And I'm just wondering I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm not saying that they're right. I'm just wondering what sense does that make just,
In truth,
logically,
I think in truth though,
I don't
like,
know.
because we don't have any information right now, it feels like our brains are rushing to fill in the gaps where we
Yeah,
don't we're ignorant. And the truth is we are very much ignorant right now as to the extent what was taken, what will be used as evidence against him, where Diddy is, how long he will serve. I think we are, and a lot of people have been like dying and going messing around him, and people have come up with theories around him being involved. And Cass's complaint also highlight that he's very dangerous and that he could get someone unalived and all of that. So like in some ways I feel like discrediting the conspiracy theorists and theories, um, I feel like they're being vindicated right now, actually.
It's not that, I mean, I get the reason why there's such a distrust for everything. Like, I understand that completely. Um, I guess when I'm thinking about this, I think that the quote unquote they wouldn't be doing things that millions of people would immediately catch on to. Like, oh, we're going to do this thing. And then next day, everybody's going to be tweeting about how we're covering up. Like, I think they, quote unquote, they like have more resources and like ways to do things that people wouldn't catch on to so quickly, because people were like literally tweeting about that like the next day, the same day that the raid took place. And I just don't think that the quote unquote they would do something that obvious. I
But
think
what
things
is
would be
it's not
more.
obvious at all. Like
No,
if
when I say
assuming
obvious, I guess I'm saying to the point that like so many people would be talking about it.
yeah, I mean it is embarrassing. They know that it's a raid and they took stuff, they are taking evidence. Like what they do with the evidence we don't know. We can only like come up with like random theories around that, but it doesn't make it right. And I don't feel like, I mean, as public as it is, it feels like we're still very much ignorant. Like I feel very ignorant as to what is happening. Like
Yeah. Yeah, that I agree with that. Like we don't really know what's going on. When it comes down to it. And that's what I think. I think that like there are a lot of theories which I understand because like you said, we fill in the gaps about things and look at things that have happened before and the distrust and all that. So I understand that. But I do agree with what you said. Like we don't know what's going on. And I think that to assume that we do know, even if it's like a conspiracy, even if it's a theory, I think that that's a clear indicator that we don't necessarily know. Like when it's easy to come up with like that, I don't think that. I don't know. I guess I'm just. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
yeah. Petty thoughts.
I can only communicate in humor. I just want to say this preemptively because I know this is a point of contention with some people. But I'm not about to conspire against the man who y'all says has the feds in his pocket, and they probably in here listening. So I'm not going to conspire. I do agree with Kay though, because the people at Walmart pulled me in with loss prevention and said I stole something, and they were going to ban me from the store. And I said, but it's my first time. And they pulled up this camera footage, right, from 14 other times, and even I didn't know it was that much. So I was surprised as well. Everyone was surprised. So I just think they were probably surveilling him for a while. I think someone in the comments said when the feds knock at your door, it's already too late.
No, I agree with that. Like, and I'm looking at some comments. I'm going to clarify what I'm saying. I agree with that. Like, they've been watching. Like, by the time the feds get there, they've been building a case. But I'm saying that I don't think they went there to like say, oh, we need to hurry up and get this stuff so that so and so doesn't get in trouble. Like other people above Diddy. Like, I do think they went there to,
Wait, so that's what I'm. Do you guys believe there is a cabal of people in Hollywood that control it and control people and what they do?
I think there are levels of people with control. Like Diddy had control over some people. Some people probably have control over Diddy. Like, I think there are levels to it. But I don't necessarily think that everything is. I don't necessarily think that they went there to.
Wait, no. You're going ahead. The next question: do you think there are people who have power over, like, the FBI and CIA and Homeland, like the government? It's not public. Like, this would be like the cabal, essentially. Like, they can dictate things.
I don't know which way that goes. Like,
No, I'm asking about your personal feeling about this.
I know, but I'm saying, like, I don't know which direction that goes. I don't know if it's people with control over them or them with control over people.
No, I'm asking you specifically, them people, like a bunch of men in black cloaks, not really, that can control. Like, I'm asking about, do you believe there are powerful people with a ton of money that we may or may not know, who can dictate how the government operate, what the government do, who gets to be elevated, who gets to not? Do you believe at a certain stage there are people who have a tremendous amount of power to control a ton of resource and dictate, like, institutions that we should trust, like, I don't know, the FBI, CIA, whatever?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're the people in the control or if people have control over them.
No, I'm asking you if you believe that.
That's what I'm saying.
No, like, so you don't believe that, or you don't know, you don't think about it. Do you believe? Like,
I'm saying I don't know which I know someone has power over someone. I don't know which direction it goes in terms of, do the people with the money have the power over the alphabet boys, or do the alphabet boys have the power over the people with the money?
Who's the alphabet boy? Oh, like the CIA.
So I don't know which direction it goes in, but I think that there are people that have power over other people. I'm not going to assume to know which people are the ones.
No, but it doesn't matter which people. I'm asking you, do you believe there are some people with power that can dictate, that has control
over, like, the people that we were just talking about? That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're the ones with the power or if someone has power over them. Do you get what I'm saying?
No.
What?
It feels like you're answering my question in the affirmative by saying you don't know who the people with the power are.
No, I do agree that people have power. There are levels of power across many things, different institutions in this country or the world. There are levels. But when we're talking specifically about, like, certain maybe government agencies and things like that, I'm saying that I don't know if it's the government agencies with the control or people with control over them. I don't know which one is at the top when it comes to that.
I don't care which one is at the top. I'm asking if you believe there's someone at the top.
On different levels, yeah. I don't think there's anyone at the top of everything. I think there are people at the top in different sectors of.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you believe those people at the top at different sectors meet in the dark of the night in cloaks?
No. I don't think that. I think that there are people who, do work together or meet or whatever you want to call it. But I don't think everyone who is at the top of whatever their field is meets together. Like, I don't think it's one.
So you don't think they work in tandem? Like, so you don't think the FBI and the rap industry and the music industry and the movie industry and politics work together to create the world that we have?
I definitely think, like, media, and in fact, in that Candace Owens interview, she mentioned something about that, about, like, the funding of certain movies by, like, whatever government agency. So, like, this isn't a secret. So I don't have to think that. That's just something that I know.
All right, let me ask a different question then. Do you believe that we, the people, choose through the Electoral College the President of the United States, or do you think the President of the United States was pre-selected and announced, but we pretend like we have power, or we are tricked into thinking we have power? Do you think our vote counts towards the president?
I think that the Electoral College is the reason that, you
All right.
know, whoever, like the popular vote isn't the one that wins for a reason. So,
All right, so
but
you believe that the Electoral College choose the president in the democratic way that we view it? Like, you don't think that they're
well, some
pre-selected?
people would never even be able to be on the ballot. So, I mean, I don't know. This is above my.
All right, so you think the showmanship that happens is real, and the two people who are running for president on the Democrat and Republican side, that the Electoral College choose the winner?
Do I think that, or is that what actually happens? I mean, the
Yeah, what
Electoral College
actually
is like,
happens? What we are told happened. Do you think that's actually what happens?
oh, you're saying, is it like fraudulent or is it authentic?
No, I'm saying, do you believe the Illuminati pick the president of the United States? I feel like the
Um, I don't think so. I do think that there are ways and reasons why certain people end up in positions that they're in, but I don't necessarily think there's this whole, committee that controls every single thing that there is. That I think there are levels, and there are different things that different people have control over.
All right. So you think the way that the election is run, when you get the two candidates at the top, that the Electoral College chooses one of them, and you don't think those two candidates or even the president were pre-selected by a group of powerful people?
Isn't that what the Electoral College? I think that I'm not understanding fully what you're asking.
All right, Petty, ask my question for me.
Because isn't that what the
Okay. First of all, I want to start by saying we were already made aware of whether or not there is someone running things. Y'all just did not listen. Y'all just did not listen. Secondly, the question is simply, K, was easier to understand in my head than to articulate, but I will try. Do you believe that the Electoral College elects the president?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool. That's it. That was it. that was all of it. Thank you, both Kay and Petty, for giving that. All right. So let's move quickly because we don't have much time.
Wait, Demas and Petty, do you all think that the Electoral College elects the president?
Absolutely not.
What do you think, Petty?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I would not create a system where the popular vote or the Electoral College, the Electoral College is to protect the popular vote from themselves because they think we're idiots, essentially. But even if I were creating the system, I'm not doing that. Absolutely not. I'm not leaving none of
Are you
the
asking
chance.
if I believe in it or if I believe that's how the president is elected?
That's how it's elected.
Petty, exactly. That was where
No,
the
do you believe that's how they're elected?
Yeah, I do.
All right, that's the question.
But then, Petty, exactly. I know exactly where your head is. That's the same thing I was thinking.
You got to get a tism to communicate with a tism.
Because that definitely was what I was thinking. So yeah, look at us, Petty.
I'll get some earrings to match yours for the next appearance. So
yes,
we can
please.
be aligned.
Yeah, I think we should wear the same earrings, the same eyebrows, the same hair.
I lost one of my earrings at the barber. This is the back, and this is the other one with the full earring. This man literally yanked my ear, and the earring was ripped out. It hurt so bad, and it flew across the floor. But he found it, and he sent me a picture, and he was like, "Look what I found." And I got it back.
I'm glad you got it back.
Local racist supporter Elon Musk. Let's see what he has to say.
I think my point is more nuanced, so let me hurry up and explain it quickly. Because I do believe in people should vote. So how can I hold that? And also because I don't have any solid evidence of my belief. I just don't believe that the founding fathers thought, you know who we should give power? The people. Even though they wanted to fight tyranny and create democracy, I don't trust that they did that without like a very solid check on it, and that check is not the electoral college separately. No, I actually believe this. I believe the electoral college works, but I also believe that the framing of the two-party system and how we get to the candidates that are ultimately the ones we select from is rigged. And so is it a real choice when we have two candidates for the Republican Democrat to select from when we can have more, and we've been locked into a system that literally provides a very specific outcome? So even if the electoral college works, it is a non-starter because the candidate we have to choose from, we didn't choose them. And like the primaries is not good enough. So there's that. So that's how I don't think the choice is actually real.
I can agree with that. Like on that level for sure. That's why I said like certain people would never even be on the ballot. That's what I was like saying when I said
That's
that.
why. Sorry, I had to do that because I didn't want to. Like, I mean, I love a conspiracy theory and I'm all up in it, but I also ground it in like some thought. Yeah. All right. So we were supposed to watch a lot more of this. I have a bunch of timestamp. Let me see. They were talking about the Great Replacement theory, which that's a choice. They were talking about Donald Trump meeting. That's also a choice. I really wanted to. So Don Lemon is annoying as an interviewer because he's like way too aggressive. And I can say this because I'm not a reporter. And so if I'm being aggressive, it's fine. He's supposed to be a professional at this, and he's terrible at his job because even the way he reframe questions around censorship and Elon Musk's responsibility on Twitter to censor was wild. There's a difference between promoting something and allowing something to exist. That you have a platform where you allow something on it does not mean you promote it as the owner. So
Why allow the N-word usage to increase 1,000%, but not like criticism of Elon Musk?
all right. Do you think that means he endorses it?
Absolutely.
So because you allow something on your platform, you endorse it.
I would say based on the full context of this interview, not that specific.
No. I'm talking. There's no like. This is the problem with Don Lemon's attempt at interviewing. He does not tie. He does not tie Elon Musk in the conversation about allow versus promote. To any specifics. Elon was able to speak generally, and Don Lemon just kept babbling. So the way I ask the question right now is how it's presented.
You don't think it's a sort of silent endorsement if Brock Turner, for example, is behind a dumpster doing something to an unconscious woman and people just walk by and allow it? Isn't this sort of they're not verbally saying I support this thing, but isn't it a sort of...
No, it's not at all. They would have to know what's happening.
No, a walk by, see and know.
If you said they know that it's happening.
Yes, walk by, see it and know that it's happening.
Right. Is it possible that they were scared?
This is just a scenario. I don't think
I'm
he's scared
asking
to
you,
censor
yeah.
Twitter.
No,
it's not possible. It's not possible
No.
that they're scared. No. For the sake of my example, it's not possible that they're scared.
No, you realize you can't do that, right?
Why not?
Because you were saying, is it possible that someone could walk past something bad happening and not intervene? Wouldn't that be a silent endorsement? And I can come up with multiple scenarios in which you wouldn't intervene, which is not saying you endorse it.
But it feels like you're fighting the hypo.
No, the hypo is asking if it is possible, which creates a realm of possibilities.
Okay, so back to Elon Musk then, since the hypo does not work for you. I feel like silence is a silent endorsement.
No, you can agree with that and say silence is whatever, but you can pin him down on it. Say, do you know that these things are happening on your platform? If the answer is yes, and you don't remove it, and you remove other things, then in that case, it looks like a silent endorsement because you have removed other things. What
Yeah,
is
but
the
that's what
procedure? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Don Lemon didn't do this.
Yeah, he
So,
did.
no, he didn't.
He
No,
did.
he did not.
He does call. Does he not call out in this interview? To be fair, it could be a separate video I'm thinking of, but does he not call out the
No, he
fact
did.
that he's not allowed to criticize Elon Musk and this
Nope.
is where free speech
I
ends?
I didn't see that. Because if he said that, the next question is, what is the standard for what you allow versus what you don't allow? And if the standard is a blind standard applied equally to everything and it removes things that do not meet the standard, then it's completely fine. Not completely. But if it is arbitrary and Elon Musk is and his team or sort of arbitrarily going through and monitoring one side, removing one side, but allowing the other to run amok, then that would be true. I'm not defending Elon Musk because I completely disagree with him on DEI, right? So like we're gonna get there. But in what I find happen, and I find this really frustrating, and it's one of the most frustrating things, because people already agree, they argue from the point of which they agree, as opposed to actually listening to what the argument being made is. So, like, the critique tends to be against the person you disagree with, as opposed to the people you agree with, because you already agree and you fill in the gaps. And it's like, no, don't fill in the gap. This was a terrible interview. It's a combative interview, and that's completely fine. But if you want to trap Elon Musk, then trap him. Find out that he deleted some tweets and he didn't delete others, and figure out why some were deleted and others weren't. So on the view of censorship, and the thing is, Don Lemon could not articulate the difference between that which is allowed versus that which is promoted. All right, actually, we have to watch this part now. I wanted to go to the DEI part, but let's see. This is at the 23-minute mark. Oh, he time-stamped it for us, period.
Can we talk about the great replacement theory now? Some of the things that you post, the great replacement theory. You claim that Democrats, President Biden's immigration plan to open up the border, you said that the president is getting, and Democrats are doing it to get more votes. But undocumented immigrants cannot vote in federal elections, so how is that possible?
Right. Well, you're conflating two things. One is great replacement theory. The other is, which I don't subscribe to that. I'm simply saying that there's an incentive here. If legal immigrants, which I think have a very strong bias to, at least everything I read, very strong bias to vote Democrat, the more that comes to the country, the more they're likely to vote in that direction. But it is, in my view, a simple incentive to increase voters to Democratic voters. And yeah, so the question is like how? So there's a few ways that this works. One is that when the census is done, the census is based on all people in an area, whether they are citizens or not. So if there are a concentration of people who came here illegally in a particular state or in a particular state, that state will actually then get an increased number of House seats. So the House seat apportionment is proportionate to the number of people, not the number of citizens. So the illegals overwhelmingly go to places like California, New York, and if you just look at the math, if you look at the apportionment with and without illegals, I believe California would lose. I believe the blue state, there would be a net loss of blue states of approximately 20 seats in the House. This also applies to the electoral college. So you say, like, well, this also applies to electing the president, because the electoral votes are also done by apportionment the same way that House seats are done.
But the reason, Elon, the electoral college is in place is to balance that, so that doesn't happen. So what you're saying about it is the exact opposite of the reason why the electoral college is there. The electoral college at this point in our history gives people who are in smaller states.
Okay. This is also another example of like not actually engaging, because what Elon Musk just articulated is just like kind of annoying. And I can explain quickly why, but let me explain what he's just saying. He is saying that Democrats like illegal immigrants, and the right have been doing this a lot. They like illegal immigrants because they want illegal immigrants to vote for Democrats. The issue with this is when we're talking about the general election, most Republicans who espouse this don't actually know who get to vote, apparently. But what Elon Musk just articulates is it's not about them voting, it's whether or not they're counted in the population to increase the number of people, representation in the House of Representatives, which is based on population, and in the Electoral College, right? That's the argument. Push back against that. Your argument can't be, oh, they can't vote. Like that, he literally accepted that. Also, that this doesn't actually benefit the electoral college benefit smaller states. Okay, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about, but it feels like I do know what he's talking about. I'm being facetious. It is not responsive at all. Like, it's not responsive at all to what Elon Musk just said. Like, at all. Like, it's not responsive in any meaningful way. Do you understand what I'm saying, Prince Brady?
Or are you looking at me?
Because you're the one defending. Like, the thing is, I want to agree, by the way, with Don Lemon, because I feel like Elon Musk should be getting dragged. But like at this part of the conversation, it's just like, girl, what are you doing? Like it feels like you're set on talking points, and that's it. To be fair, Elon Musk is kind of hard to listen to. It feels like I'm listening to a robot. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't want to. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna skip to the DEI. All right, let me play it.
In red states, much more of an influence over our elections than people who are in blue states, and the majority of the people in this country. That's what the Electoral College does. It actually does the exact opposite of what you're saying. It protects people who are in smaller states and protects people who are in red states.
Well,
the red states, because it tends to be smaller and less populous.
I think that statement is what you said is true, but what I said is also true, which is that if as is the case, a disproportionate number of legal immigrants go to blue states, they amplify the effect of a blue state vote. And the math, as I understand it, you can research this obviously very easily. I mean, it's pretty straightforward to research this. But my understanding is that there would be that the Democrats would lose approximately 20 seats in the House if illegals were not counted in census, and that's also 20 less electoral votes for president. So illegals absolutely do affect the who controls the House and who controls the presidency. It does not affect the Senate.
Yeah. In blue states, you're talking about. Yes. I don't believe that your information on that is right. So
how is that useful? I don't know, and I will look into it. I don't believe your information on that is right. Okay, girl, period. What am I gonna do with that? Like, how is that a response? Like, do you understand why I'm frustrated? Like, watching this, I'm like, and like, you don't believe that what I'm saying is correct. You don't know, apparently. So go figure it out. Anyway, Kat said, oh, I read this already. I got away it way not letting Diddy get away to period. He shouldn't get away with it. All right. We've gone over time, so we didn't actually get to the DEI part unless y'all want me to just skip there to in the after show.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to the after show. Yay, we. Ngozi, and go say, why y'all leave Themis hanging up there? I don't know. But when we come back, hopefully they will be better at not leaving me hanging up here. All right. So let me go. DEI is at 39. Ready? All right, let's do it.
So listen, let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. All right, that's been a target of yours lately on X. There was a repost of Ben Shapiro that you claim that DEI is killing people. Specifically, you point to medicine. You claim that DEI programs are putting people at risk. Do you really believe this to be true? And what evidence do you have to support it?
What I was referring to there was that if we lower the standards for doctors, so that they, if the test for a doctor is lowered, then the probability of them making a mistake and killing someone is obviously going to be higher.
Wait, say that again. I'm not sure I understand what you said. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Yes, if the standards for passing medical exams and becoming a doctor, or especially something like a surgeon, if the standards are lowered, then the probability that the surgeon will make a mistake is higher. They're making mistakes in their exam. They may make mistakes with people, and that may result in people dying.
What evidence do you have, though, that they're lowering the standards? There's no evidence.
This is also triggering because, like, I wish I could go back. So, like, people are mad at me for being pedantic or whatever, but like, someone like this, and like, you don't have to. It feels like we are triggered, we get angry, and we ask the questions about what we're triggered about, as opposed to dissecting why we're triggered, figure out what they said to trigger us, and then work back from that to sort of dismantle the actual argument being made. Don Lemon.
Are you specifically talking about the word if?
Yes.
Okay, because if somebody says, I don't like big lip.
Wait, it's not just if though, but continue. I'll explain in a minute.
Okay, you can continue. So
I'm
not just one.
So instead of asking him about specifically what he said, Don Lemon keeps asking him about the implication of what he says, which is that he believes black and women, they're going to bring it up more specifically again, black, brown people, colored people, whatever they call us, and women aren't as good as white men, right? He didn't say that. And we're going to get it again when he brings up the airplane thing, which I completely disagree with. When he brings up the airplane thing, actually, you talk. I'll bring it up again when we get to the airplane thing.
No, if someone says to me, I don't like big-lipped, big-nosed, fried chicken eaters, and I say, why don't you like black people? And they say, I never said that. I literally never said black people, and play around with words. Why would I engage with something like that?
If they said that, if they said that, right, that is a characteristic of black people.
And you can make that assumption, right? You can make a reasonable assumption off of
yes.
what they say, even if they don't directly say something.
Agreed.
I think
you can't always do that. No,
I think he's doing it reasonably here.
Well,
if black people are hired at a lower standard, it'll be bad.
No. He never said that.
Well,
that's what he insinuated.
I think the reason
with you. No. I agree with you, Petty. I agree that this is what he means, right? But you need to catch him if you want to interview him or drag him. You can't. What Don Lemon is attempting to do is he's trying to do both. He's trying to prove to the public and to Elon Musk that Elon Musk is wrong and might be racist or have racist tendency, or he's trying to prove that the argument Elon Musk is making is wrong. If you're doing that, you have taken on the task of breaking it down instead of dragging him, right? What you just articulate, Petty, is how you approach someone, how I approach someone who I believe is racist. This feels like a conversation that he's having with his boss.
Look,
and he was supposed to be his boss.
Okay.
I think that Don is, going with this line of questioning so that they don't start the conversation on a false premise. Like, I do that too. I cannot move on.
No. That's what he's doing, though.
No, but so since Elon talked about lower standards, Don is like, wait, who said that standards were lower? Like, we can't even get into the conversation until you prove that part, because then we're on a false premise. Like, we're starting it from the wrong direction, because how can we have the conversation about lower standards if we have not established that standards are actually being lowered.
I actually would agree with this if that's what he did. That's not what he did.
I think that's what he did.
All right, we'll continue. We'll see. Because I agree with this. This is how I feel like this is how you ask the questions. I feel like this is what you just did is how you attack this question.
Yeah, but I feel like this is a I feel like this is a codology offense. This is where Codology and I spoke about a scenario where a white man spits on a black person and says he don't like N-words, and I asked her if she would call something like that racist, because I would, but she said she would need to investigate to understand if he's actually motivated by hatred of a race or if he's just having a bad day or something else. I don't care to investigate, but she does, and I feel like that's where our point of contention is. I don't care to do the rigor to find out.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's fine. He does. That's what I'm saying. So I agree with Kay. What Petty is doing is starting from a conclusion. I don't mind that. Drag him. But if you decide to have a conversation with him to find out what he meant, unless you're doing that as a pretense for dragging him, what Don Lemon is doing is ridiculous. Like
but he's not finding out what he meant. He's challenging what he said. He knows what he said. He was clear. He talked about standards being lower. And Don is addressing that.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. I can't respond to that because of what he's about to do. So you will see. I have to give you a clear example of how this is wrong. How that's not what he's doing.
Evidence of that.
I believe there is.
There's no evidence of that, Elon. What is the evidence?
I believe they've literally lowered the status at Duke University, and that is what the article is referring to.
There's no evidence.
They have not lowered the status?
There's no evidence about lowering standards, and I think that there is.
I believe that is a false statement you're making.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
I think
the interesting thing is when this is.
Sorry, that's also a problem. If you don't know, how are you sitting up there saying there's no evidence of? However, I will note that Duke University did come out and say they did not lower any standards for anyone.
I think
so
he
this
just
is all
said
a
that.
lie.
I think he just said that, like, we'll figure it out, to be diplomatic. Like, okay, fine. If you're saying that it's, true, then we can find more information. If you're right, you're right. But Don knew that wasn't right. I think he just said that just to give Elon
Don Lemon is a journalist. You can make that mistake. Petty can make, not even a mistake. I can engage this way. We can do this. He is a journalist. And this feels like a gotcha media. Like, it feels like Don Lemon is caught up in this. Like, drag him if you need.
I don't see a problem in making space in case you're wrong. Like, you could have looked something up and studied it, or whatever the case, and have all the information, and you can say confidently, look, this is what I know, which is I think what Don was doing, and then you can say, you know what, okay, if you have some more information, present it. I don't think that makes you a bad journalist, and I'm not saying that you are saying he is a bad journalist, but I don't think that asking the other person to prove a point that they're insisting is true, even though it's not, is wrong in any way.
Yeah, but he said they're doing it in Duke. This is not true based on Duke response. I don't know if it's true, but Duke said it's not true, right? But Don Lemon does not know this at this point. At this point, you ask him what happens at Duke. Because I'm sure he don't know what happened at Duke. He's using Duke as an example, and if you're again, when you already have your conclusion, it's hard to have conversation because, one, we are already triggered. I would be triggered in this conversation and I would be dragging. So I'm saying Don Lemon, as a journalist, needs to be more involved in what the conversation than he is. So if you ask him the question, it's like, how do you know? Where is this happening? And he says Duke. Your next question, if you don't know, is can you explain what is happening at Duke? How did you know this? Where did this information come from? Test this. And then after that, say, I'll look it up if you need to.
I think he might not. I mean, I don't know. But I think he might not have wanted to waste too much time there, because the interview, like when I was watching it, I heard Elon saying, we got 5 minutes left. Like, it was on a time crunch.
I don't think it was really on a time crunch like that. I think Elon Musk got mad and
I
was
do
like,
too. I do too. And I think that because he was upset, and he even said that he was upset. I think that because he was upset, he was like, look, we're going to have this the exact time that it was supposed to be versus if he were having a good time, then.
Let me also be clear. The burden of proof might be on Elon, but he met it when he said Duke. It then shifts to Don, and Don should have said, wait, where did you get this from? What about you? Can you explain about the medical school? How did you get this information? Right? So it goes back and forth in that scenario.
I don't know. I just think that in the interview, like, doing that could take away from, especially since it's clear that Don knows that that's not the case. Like, he already said
he doesn't know that that's not the case.
He already
does
said
not know that. He does not know that that's not the case. He's never ever, even
He
in this,
said-
he's never
said
looked
there
at
was
the
no
medical.
evidence.
He's never doing it. He's lying. He never did it. He never did it.
Never
The
did
way
what?
he has never looked up whether or not standards were lowered in medical school. I don't believe it was, but he's never done that. He's never.
Oh, I don't know if he looked it up or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming he did since he was standing firm on that.
Oh, he stands firm on a lot of other things too. Wait, it's coming. This is not even my biggest issue yet. My thing is, it's not a debate. You can ask him questions. And it feels like Don Lemon, I think Elon is wrong, mind you. I just don't like the fact that the way Don is asking questions feels like he's a amateur journalist looking for his moment. And it's like, you're a seasoned veteran in the game. This feels very got you, clickbaity, like, I'm get my one. If this man is racist and said some racist stuff, you already have your one up. Like, you don't have to play these games.
Post on the X platform, there will be a whole bunch of things that rebut what you said and what I said, and so people can then make their own decision based on the replies, the rebuttals, and the community notes.
I think that's fair, but I do think that on this particular topic, I do think that you and Ben Shapiro are reaching in about this, because there was what Ben posted said that he gave instances of people who were deliberately harming people. Nowhere in the thread does Ben suggest at all, I should say, that anyone is being killed as a result of DEI. That's purely speculative. There's research on DEI in medicine, and there's no evidence that standards are being lowered, that DEI is affecting medicine. Actually, only 5% of doctors are Black, and a small percent.
Yeah, I think you'll find that when this was posted to...
Why would that matter for this conversation? Why did he say only 5% of doctors are Black? Does that have any utility at all in this conversation? If so, what is it?
I mean, just when you asked that, I was like trying to come up with the reason why. Maybe he is indicating that if standards were lower, more Black people would be doctors. Like, maybe he was trying to like feed into what Elon was saying. Because more people in general would be doctors. So of course there would be more Black doctors if standard. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, that he was trying to, like, I guess, appeal to what Elon was saying by saying, like, even if you were right, then why aren't there more Black doctors according to what you said?
No, he's pushing back against the narrative that was implicitly being made that Black people are filling up the med schools and they're unqualified, is what he's saying. The problem with that statement is that it doesn't actually matter how many. The whole point is the standard being lower? And the answer to that is no. That's like, it's just telling me how many, whatever, it doesn't actually matter. Like, is the standard lowered? He thinks it is. The Republican thinks it is. Is it being lowered for Black people? No? All right, I don't care. Right? But telling me how many people are there doesn't do anything unless you're like a progressive who is saying we need more because there's so few.
But it might do something if the person you're telling that to is claiming that standards are so low. Like,
No, but it doesn't matter. Even if it is low or high, if the black people are coming in, it doesn't matter. Even if it's like low, even if it's like 0.02%, if the 0.02% are in there because we've lowered the standard, then he wins the debate or the conversation or whatever it is. Because his point isn't that there are too many, even though that's ultimately what it will lead to. But his point is that they are lowering the standard for these people to get in. Are they lowering the standard for these people to get in? Yes or no? It doesn't actually matter how many people get in.
no, I agree with that. It doesn't ultimately, but I think that the only thing that makes sense to me is that he was trying to be like, well, you're saying that it's lower. Then if that's the case, why aren't more black people doctors if this is your stance?
Yeah, I mean, Don Lemon has a layup. Is it a layup? He had a layup. I don't know what it is, but all he had to do is say, prove it. Just keep saying, prove it. Like, don't engage. Don't give me a percentage. We don't care, girl. Stick to the issue. You're tweeting stuff out. How do you know? Oh, you don't know? Sounds racist to me. How is it not racist when you just be tweeting out anti-black stuff when you don't know where it comes from? That's how you drag him. You don't sit there and tell, oh, only this percent. It doesn't matter. And that's not my issue yet, by the way.
Their platform that people will reply to it with evidence.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see.
Okay, so, but that's my whole thing about moderation. Maybe you're wrong, but you'll put it out there. You don't know if it's right. Do you think that your responsibility to make sure something is right before you, the person who owns it, Elon Musk, is a huge figure in the world, that you should know that it's true, that there are people at X who can get research for you before you put something out there like that? That's not necessarily true. Even in other examples.
If I say something that is inaccurate, I'm immediately corrected on the platform. That's the advantage of a real-time system like X. So there'll be immediately in the replies, people correcting me. There'll be a community note that will correct me, which is attached to the actual post itself.
Do you think as many people read
yes.
You think as many people read that as it reads your tweet?
Yes, in fact, and if there's a community note that happens later that where somebody didn't see, but they replied to that, interacted with that post, we will notify them that there's now a community note correcting that post. Mm-hmm.
Just so you.
Whereas if you consider the conventional media, that doesn't happen. Conventional media makes false statements all the time and nobody ever hears the correction.
When I was in conventional media, I can only speak for myself. If I got something wrong or someone got something wrong on the platform that I was on, it was corrected, and we made sure that it was corrected. I can't speak for anyone else.
I don't think that's a universal situation.
Okay, so I just want the research. So when you talk, do you believe that people are dying because medical standards, DEI is causing medical standards to be lowered? Do you actually believe people are dying because of that?
I believe that if we lower the standards for what it takes to become a doctor,
you're saying if we lower the standards, but do you believe people are dying because of standards?
Okay, there, drag him. That's an example of how you drag. That's the question you ask. Are people dying because they're lowering the standard? I said, I don't care what you said. Do you think people are dying? Drag him. This is a good, yes, I was going to say yes, Elon. Yes, Don, this is a good line of question.
Are being lowered.
I don't think that is yes an issue, but it could become an issue.
Okay. But the actual evidence in history shows the exact opposite. If you look at how minorities were treated by the medical system, most doctors now are white, and there are lots of mistakes in medicine. So you're saying that white doctors have bad medical care? I'm trying to.
This point came out of the blue, girl. It is not incorrect, but like this is like a weird way to argue. Because he's arguing. This is a full-on debate. But like, he's right, but it's so out of context that it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're kind of just being antagonistic to be antagonistic, which is fine if I do it. But like, this is not journalism, like at all. Like at all. Like you're just picking a fight, which is fine. But like, just call a thing, you're just picking a fight.
I think maybe Don feels like a little more free since he's not like on, this is his show, his interview that he's doing. Maybe he's trying a new approach. I don't know. Because I've seen him do other interviews before. Sometimes they're kind of like this, sometimes not. Maybe.
Wait, let me get to the part quickly where I have a disagreement.
I understand your logic here when it comes to DEI because there's no actual evidence of what you're saying.
No, I said, so if the standards, like let's say think have to look at things referring to surgeons. Let's say a surgeon is asked to, a surgeon in training is asked to do a series of operations under the supervision of a senior surgeon, and they get a bunch of those operations wrong. If that happens, and if they are still approved to be a surgeon, the probability that someone will die, I think, at some point is high.
Okay, I understand that, but that's a hypothetical. That doesn't mean it's happening.
I didn't say it's happening.
You said you didn't say it was happening.
I said it will. But I said if we lower standards, people will die.
But why respond to something or put something out there that has not happened? Because I could say,
I don't want it to happen. I think we don't want to lower standards.
Okay, if you look at the history of the medical industry, especially when it comes to Black Americans, it shows the
Okay, girl, tell the man you think that it is not okay that he's saying things on his platform using the word if because it ignites racist and it is a dog whistle in some ways, right? Like engage that way. You're not about to get this man to confess to racism. So either drag him or shut up, because ain't nobody got time for this. Either drag him or shut up.
exact opposite. If you look at the Tuskegee experiment and all, only 5% of doctors are in America are Black. All of them are white. So are you saying that if the majority of doctors are white, are you saying that and there's still these inequities, right? And there's still mistakes. Are you blaming DEI for that?
No, I'm very basically saying that if we lower standards for what it takes to become a board-certified surgeon or an oncologist or something where the kind of disease we're talking about, if you make a mistake, causes someone to die, then more people will die than if we don't lower the standards. Therefore, we should not lower the standards.
But why do you think they're lowering the standards for minority doctors or women doctors? Or
that's what that article suggested. Yes, at Duke University.
Okay. The evidence that I have shows that that's not true.
Okay.
So listen, after the door blew off this mid-flight, Mr. Alaskan Airlines flight, do you remember that?
All right. This is where I completely disagree with Elon Musk, right? But please listen. Please listen. Let me turn this up. Listen to the question that Don Lemon asks.
You responded in a post claiming that the average HBCU grad was less intelligent than the average airline pilot, and stated that it will take an airplane crashing and killing hundreds of people for them to change this crazy policy of DIE. I don't know if did you misspell it on purpose, which it should be DEI. Do you believe that women and minority pilots are inherently less intelligent and less skilled than white male pilots?
No.
What kind of question is that? That was a full layup. That was like you got the ball handed to you because that statement is outrageous. The question should be, how do you know that the average high school grad is smarter, more intelligent, less intelligent, whatever, than a pilot? Like, ask that question. How did you jump from that to, do you think minorities and women are less intelligent than white men? I get why he did it, because the undertone is fully in my mind there, and I would drag night and day for it. But if you go ask this man a question, why would you give him that big open out? Like, why would you? Like, you just gave this man a whole out. Like, he don't have to address the comment that he made at all.
I mean, just thinking about it, like how this is going, I think that he asked that purposely to have on record that what basically Elon's argument doesn't make sense. If he thinks that they're just as capable, like Black pilots, women pilots, whoever else is just as capable as who the majority of pilots are, then what is his argument? I think having him answer that with just a yes or no really like made it so like, now what are you going to say? What are you talking about?
So it was a setup then, and I don't mind this. It wasn't an actual interview on what he said. Like, he didn't bring that up to ask what he said. He said, when you say the average HBCU grad and you're comparing them to pilots, where did that come from? Like, because like the question, people are saying direct and to the point. He gonna say, no, I never said that. What do you mean?
So then that shows that his argument about lower standards or DEI or any of these things are just, they don't have anything. He can't stand on them the way that he.
Oh, wait, you really think they care? Because like the idea that they're going to espouse is that Black people and other minorities can compete at the level of white people, white men, so they should just compete. Like they shouldn't have an advantage or anything because they can compete if they try. That's the answer. So him saying, no, I don't think that minorities are less smart than white men. I don't think him saying that actually does anything with his racism. I think someone can say that and still be fully racist. And that's kind of what you did.
No,
You gave
I
him an
I
out.
think they can too. I just think that when you say that, it undoes some of the things that he's trying to argue
No,
against before.
it doesn't. It actually helps how he's
It makes
arguing.
it, or let me not say it under. It shows inconsistency within his arguments. Because if what he believed, yeah,
No,
because
uh,
if he believed that standards were lower for women and people of color, if he believed that, then he would easily be able to say the the pilots of these groups are not as good because they were only measured up to here, whereas the other ones measured up to here. So if he truly believed that, then he would not be able to say, no, they're just as smart.
yeah, they can say that. They just don't work as hard as what they usually say. Like the whole argument from like conservative around DEI is that you're crippling black people, you're treating them like kids, they can compete, let them do it, they will get in. In fact, more of them will get in if they didn't have this privilege in their mind. That's the whole argument. So it's not inconsistent at all with the argument. It is still racist. Like it still works in their argument. And when you open that up, like, and maybe I'm being again too specific on this, but this is my big issue with the question. It's like you gave him so many ways around what he said. Instead of saying, hey, where did you get this from? So he can squirm and say, oh, I just made the statement. Why did you make the statement? He does not have he does not have research that says that compares the intelligence of a pilot versus HBCU grad. He does not have that research. That research does not exist. And so, and even if it exists, he didn't find it. So he just say to say it. And if you just say that to say that, why did you say that? And I don't have to ask you why. All I need to know is where did you get that information from? You compared the intellect of a HBCU grad to a airplane, a pilot, right? You compared them. Where did you get that information? Where did you get that conclusion? I wish he had asked him that question directly. Don't try to go and dance and get the bigger whatever. Ask him directly what that was. Someone said the argument doesn't make any sense around DEI. So you think the people who are opposed to DEI are out here saying, don't lower the standard so we can keep black people out? You think that's the argument? That is not the argument. That's what they want to say, but what they are saying is that if you remove it, black people will be in, they will just work harder. And the people who don't get in can't come in. When Candace Owens talk about DEI, for example, she specifically says it is crippling black people because we are not forced to work as hard.
But then that's that false premise that we talked about earlier when it comes to like medical boards, for example. Like black people are not taking an easier version of the of whatever the
Yeah,
assessment
no, we
is.
already agreed with that. But their argument is that we shouldn't lower anything for black people. And it's easy to agree with them because they're going to say because black people can compete at the level. But it's not about lowering anything. We're talking about access to people who are qualified but would have not had access but for sort of historical wrong or whatever you put in there, right? So it's not about intellect or your ability to take the exam. The answer, hopefully, is that you can take and pass the exam. However, you are being disenfranchised or you are being pushed out or you don't have access to. You guys were arguing about equity the other day. So, like, they're not, it would be way too overtly racist for them to come out and say, no DEI because we don't want black people. What they're saying is no DEI because DEI gives an unfair advantage to black people who could have competed without it. Or maybe they can't, but they've never really had to try. I don't know how that argument doesn't make sense when Candace, even if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter. Candace Owens and all the black conservative, every single black conservative that I've ever heard spoken said it. So that is the black conservative talking point, that DEI cripples black people who are just as good and would be able to get in, but for DEI. That's the black conservative talking point. So even if you don't understand it, that's the argument they're making.
But is the argument, I mean, the argument doesn't make sense if standards aren't being lowered. Like, what does this have to do with anything? What are they talking about?
They're saying that black people get into universities, for example, with lower grade than their white and Asian counterparts. That's what they're saying. And they're saying that this shouldn't happen. DEI, in their mind, allows black people with lower grades to get into colleges where white folks have to have a higher grade and Asians have to have a higher grade.
Like, if we're talking about becoming a doctor, I'm still trying to see, do you not have to take the same exams?
You do, and you have to pass it at a certain level. And
Exactly.
that level, unless they can prove that that level has been lowered, it hasn't been lowered.
So exactly. That's, well, yeah, exactly. That's the part that is making it so that
we're arguing the issue with their argument against DEI. That's not the issue here. And I feel like it's way more nuanced than the people in the chat understand. And I'm not sure which part of it I'm losing people at. So maybe you can ask your question about confusion again. Like, is there any part of what I'm saying that's confusing?
So when, for example, when Elon was saying the part, like when he answered that one question, yes or no, and he said no. When Don asked him, do you think that women or people of color are less capable as pilots? I think that was the question.
Or less smart, he said.
Didn't he ask specifically about like a profession?
Let's see again quickly.
I think he asked about being a pilot, or maybe it was medical school or something. But I think it was being a pilot.
It might have been just less capable, but let's see it.
For minority doctors or women doctors, or
that's what that's what that article suggested. Yes, at Duke University.
Okay. The evidence that I have shows that that's not true.
Okay.
So listen, after the door blew off this mid-flight, Miss Alaskan Airlines flight, do you remember that? You responded in a post claiming that the average HBCU grad was less intelligent than the average airline pilot, and stated that it will take an airplane crashing and killing hundreds of people for them to change this crazy policy of DIE. I don't know if did you misspell it on purpose, which meant it should be DEI. Do you believe that women and minority pilots are inherently less intelligent and less skilled than white male pilots?
No.
Yeah.
That is a wild question to ask.
Yeah, so he was asking like about pilots, and when Elon said no, he doesn't think that. I think the part that like where I was, I guess.
Wait, before we continue, do you understand why the question is weird? Because that's not what you said.
This is where the confusion is because I don't think the question is weird, but you do.
He never said that. And even if he implied it, it's wild to assume that he said it. But
But he didn't say he assumed he said it. He just asked him a question.
yeah, but why would you read what he said and not ask him about it? Like you said that the average HBCU grad is less smart than the average pilot. Where did you get that? That's your next question. Where did you get that? And if he made that up, then he's racist. Like you just made up some random stat about black people. I'm assuming majority of black people graduate HBCUs. Majority of HBCU grads are black people. Sorry. Like he can't escape that. Why would you give him such a broad statement for him to just be able to do whatever he wants with it? Like you ask such a broad question. Like this man tweeted that the average HBCU grad is less smart, less intelligent than a pilot. And your very next question wasn't, girl, what? I mean, people say he asked what he wants. Fine. Elon now gets to say, no, I never said that. And no, I don't think that. I think everyone is capable if they can pass the test. And now we're at a test that no one cares about because right now you've tweeted some racist foolishness and I want you to own up your racist foolishness or I want to drag you for your racist foolishness. But instead, you're just going to skip over his tweet and ask a very general question about racism that he can escape.
I think I thought the question was, I didn't find a problem with the question. I think I understood it like.
Wait, yes, you understood because you already agree. That's what I'm saying that we keep doing. He's asked, do you think minorities and black pilots or women pilots are less capable or less smart rather than white? Like, no, I don't think that.
But I think the reason he asked about that was because of the whole thought and argument about standards being lowered for people.
Yes. And y'all are arguing about standards, and you said this very specific racist thing that you should be dragged for or point out, or this is your got you moment, and you just fumbled it. You just decided to ask him a broad question that he can respond to without ever actually owning up to anything. Like he just like, oh no, I don't believe that.
I think he's just letting the inconsistencies like be pointed out and speak for themselves. That's what I get from it. Because him answering that question, no, to me, erases the fact that he allegedly thinks that standards are lowered for certain groups. If your answer to that question is no, how do you think the standard, then what is the result of the standards being lowered? What are you talking about? That's why that question made sense to me.
Wait, come again, say that again.
If his answer to that question is no, then it just highlights like the inconsistency, because if the answer to the question is no, then what is the result of the standards being lowered and why does it matter if they're the same anyway? Like, what is he even talking about? And Don already pointed out that there was no evidence about the standards being lowered. So I think it was just highlighting that yet again, like even you don't believe the standards are lowered because you just said no to this question that would be answered as yes if you thought
you were less smart doesn't mean the standard didn't get lower for you to get in.
If you're taught to and measured by a lower standard, you are not probably going to know as many things. I mean, and it doesn't have anything to do with your baseline level of intelligence. It's more so if you are being taught things at a lower level and being assessed at a lower quote unquote level, you won't know as many things as someone being taught and assessed to a higher level. And it doesn't have anything to do with your intelligence. It just has to do with like what you know in that field. And when he said no, they're all as capable as each other in this field of being a pilot.
Let's play this again because I don't. Let me play this. Sorry.
In this Alaskan Airlines flight, do you remember that? You responded in a post claiming that the average HBCU grad was less intelligent than the average airline pilot. and stated that it will take an airplane crashing and killing hundreds of people for them to change this crazy policy of DIE. I don't know if did you misspell it on purpose, which meant it should be DEI. Do you believe that women and minority pilots are inherently less intelligent and less skilled than white male pilots?
No, I'm just saying that we should not lower the standards for them.
Okay.
Exactly. Like, okay.
Look how dumb he looks. No, look how dumb he's got now. Because you ask him a question, now you're stuck with his answer. That is not an okay, like I got you, that's an okay. Oh, I don't know where to go from here. He don't know where
I
to go
don't
from here.
interpret it. I took it as
No. There's no interpret. Look, let's do it. Watch it. Look.
ECU grad was less intelligent than the average airline pilot, and stated that it will take an airplane crashing and killing hundreds of people for them to change this crazy policy of DIE. I don't know if did you misspell it on purpose, which meant it should be DEI. Do you believe that women and minority pilots are inherently less intelligent and less skilled than white male pilots?
No, I'm just saying that we should not lower the standards for them.
Okay. But there's no evidence that standards are being lowered when it comes to the airline industry.
You've repeatedly said that there's no evidence that standards are being
exactly.
lowered. And watch the replies showing all the evidence that it is.
Replies, though, on social media or on Twitter are not necessarily fact and evidence.
No,
That's people's
they will
opinion.
cite
Okay.
all the replies.
Two things.
You are not about to take Elon, let's let the chat decide, Musk, and tell me that Don looks stupid in this interaction.
No.
Specific one.
No. I don't disagree with you that Elon is dead wrong for saying let's let the chat decide. Right? Like, drag him completely for that. What I'm pointing out is the way that Don Lemon just asked the question, that's not a win. Like, when he says, no, I don't think they're less capable, I just think that it shouldn't be lowered for them. That's a good answer. There's nothing wrong with that answer.
I really think it highlights the inconsistencies in what Elon is saying. And I think that's why Don was like, okay, because that's exactly what I would have done.
Wait,
I would have been like,
no.
Because it would have been like, it's almost like a rhetorical question. Like, okay, now do you get it? You just answered this question. No.
I can believe, wait. I can believe that you and I are the same in terms of intellect and still believe that you shouldn't get a privilege over me, which is what I guess white men are thinking.
But if people in practice were getting these lower standards, they would not be as skilled.
No, you can't be as skilled but not have required to do.
Themis, if you, let's say you're trying to learn how to, I don't know, build a Lego castle, and someone else was also trying to learn how to build a Lego castle, and you got all the information you needed, everything you could know about building a Lego castle, and someone else, they didn't. They just got the very basics, the lowest level of education as it relates to building these castles. You would be more skilled at building Lego castles.
Yes.
So then if people like Elon is he's acting like this is what happens. If people are getting lower standards when it comes to their education and their assessment, they're not going to have as many skills, because if they have just as many skills, then how are they getting a lower level of
I mean, I'm with you on your hyper, but that's not what's happening here. He said, yeah, they are, I don't believe they're not as capable, but they shouldn't get a lower standard.
But the question was about, he said intelligent and skilled. Skill is like a
that's completely fine, but I can still say I believe you guys are. I believe Kay and Petty are equally as intelligent. Therefore, Kay should not get a easier quiz.
But when you're talking about the thing, which would be pilots in this situation, you've already gone through the education. You've made it to being a pilot. We're not talking about like people who like their overall level of
No,
intelligence or
you are
capability.
arguing. That's completely fine. You're arguing from the premise of what you already understand and agree with. I'm telling you that his response in this moment is accurate, like not accurate, I don't care, but it is responsive to Don Lemon. The later part of this is foolishness. Oh, but someone said it's redundant. I mean, we're done. I mean, you can still leave. Go ahead. I mean, we're done. Like if somebody like, oh, it's redundant. And this is the last topic. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I mean, I think I understood where Don was coming from, and to me, it made perfect sense
I
because
understood where he was coming from too. That's not the issue.
it showed the inconsistencies. I get why you think there could have been better questions to have
No, it's
him,
not
I
even just
guess.
better question. It's almost like you gave him an out, and then when he took the out by saying, "Yeah, I think they're fine, but I just don't think one should get a lower standard." It's like, why would you even go there when you can literally just say, "You said on HBCU grads are less smart than pilots." Where did you get that from? Like that was his tweet. Someone was like, "Y'all need to read the tweet." He read the tweet. And instead of asking about the tweet, he asked a completely different question.
To highlight the inconsistencies.
Yeah, but now you're stuck with the answer.
But the
Instead of-
answer is fine because people watching and even Elon should have realized, oh, wait a minute. I just said no to that. So how does what I was saying before make any sense? If
that
I
there-
myself
wait,
think
wait.
there's no.
What point was proven? I agree that y'all are both intelligent, but one shouldn't get a lower.
I think the point that's being proven is that like there's no actual evidence about the standard being lower for, let's say, a doctor passing their boards or whatever. There's no evidence that the standards are lower for a Black doctor. And Elon's talking about how the standard shouldn't be lower, but that's like a moot point. Like, what is the point of saying that? Because that's just not the case. So him asking him that question and him saying no should or could have helped Elon to see, like, okay, wait a minute.
Oh, pause. Someone said it. Themis, he doesn't believe they are equally intelligent. Agreed. That's the issue. He does not believe they're equally as intelligent. He doesn't believe that. He believes less qualified Black people are getting into the air, becoming pilots because they've lowered the standard. That is what he's doing. You asking him outright does not get your answer. You asking him outright means you are now stuck with his response to your answer. It doesn't work. That's not how you ask. You can feel how you want to feel and say, got you, whatever. That's not how it works. So if you ask him, your tweet, which we seem to see as racist, because I believe it's racist, says that airplane pilots are smarter than HBCU graduates. And even if it was the reverse, HBCU graduates are smarter than pilots nowadays. I don't care what it says. Where did you get that from? How would you answer that as Elon Musk? You can't. That's why we know it is racist, by the way, because there's no way around it. It's a dog whistle that is so loud.
I think he learned his lesson when he asked him where did he get the research
medical school. He did answer. He did.
And,
he said,
and that's
article, why I read the article
for that. Move on. Like he just moved when Don just kind of moved on.
No, but Don, he couldn't have learned his lesson there because he said, "Oh, where did you get that from?" And he said, "The article that I read suggested that Duke University Medical School was lowering the standard for DEI initiatives."
And Don reiterated like another time, at least one more time after that there was no actual evidence that was happening. So like, I think he saw.
No, you can't just reiterate. That's what I'm saying. You can't just reiterate. You have to now provide your evidence or test his. None of that was happening. Don said, I don't believe that, and then moved on. That's the problem.
Yeah, he said, well, we can figure that out. And then he moved on. Because I think he didn't want to get hung up on that because he knows that it's not true. So like the next time it was time for that same situation where he could have, like you said,
the same situation. Don was wrong in the lineup. Like someone is trying to escape accountability, right? And it's fine if we're like, oh, we shouldn't do this or we should do this. You ask, because let me be upfront. I agree with Don Lemon's conclusion. I do. You cannot argue people from your conclusion, specifically when you're using their own language against them. You have to, unfortunately, deal with what they provide. You can't just make up evidence. The evidence you provide is what you have to use when you're interacting. So if I believe, you remember when we're talking about P. Diddy and I think there's a cabal, blah, 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 I say that jokingly, knowing that I don't expect anyone to believe me or fall in line with me because I didn't provide any evidence to substantiate my claim. Here, your evidence is his statement. You can't just use his statement and say, well, the people who already believe with me believe what I say, and so we're going to just go with it. No, you now need to convince the audience or people who are not fully on board. You need to explain to him or to us what is happening. You can't say, where did you get this? And
I think that since it's set up more like an interview than like a debate, I think that Don saw how he answered that previous question, even though he could have pushed back more. I agree with you. It could have been more of a debate. They could have stopped there and just like
to be a debate. No. I'm not saying it has to be a debate. I am not saying it needed to be a debate initially. When he asked, where did you get the information that Duke University was lowering the standard for DEI initiative? What's his name? Elon referenced an article. And Don said, I don't believe it, and then moved on. Don is not in the right.
He said, well, we can figure that out, and then moved on.
Yeah, you're not in the right. You are not in the right then.
With that, though, like with the way that interaction right there went, I think the reason the second one was just a yes or no question like that was so that he could have him interact with what he was saying in another way where it was not possible for him to be like, well, there's some information somewhere. And then Don would have to say, unless he wants to bring up Google.
No. Ben Shapiro retweeted an article about Duke University and that they're lowering the standard. Duke University has come out after this to say they did not lower any standard for DEI initiative. So that's the context for this, or that's the full context with this. When Elon referenced the article, Don could have then asked him about the article. What did it say? What are we talking about? Where did they lower the standards? When did they lower the standards? What did this mean? Kind of thing. He didn't. And you can say, oh, well, he just wanted to move on. You can't just move on by saying, I don't believe you. What? No, I don't believe you doesn't work when someone provides you a source. That source needs to be tested.
He said again that it wasn't. That was not the case, but he said, Elon said it was. So he said, okay, we can figure that out. And I don't think that Don, during an interview, wanted to start Googling stuff. I think it's an interview, not a debate.
To Google it. You don't have to Google anything. If you brought something to me and you said, this is what I read. Now, if I ask you a follow-up question, you're going to look dumb. I'm not saying you're going to look dumb, but you're going to look dumb if I ask you, hey, you said this is what the article said. And you're like, oh, no, I can't remember. I don't know. Then that looks dumb, right? But he never asked him. Don never asked Elon anything about his source at all. He just says, I don't believe you. If someone gives you a source and you just say, I don't believe you, that's wild. So no, you can't use that conversation to then say, I already see how you were trying to obfuscate, so I'm not going to ask you direct question in the second thing. By the way, I agree with Don, not Elon.
But just the way that it was done, you're saying that Don could have had some more, what's the basketball reference?
he was here to fight and to do a setup, which is completely fine. It's just we now see, and it feels like I don't know how to appreciate when people are like, because you already agree with someone, you are not able to critique the process by which they got to what you agree with. I find that
No,
weird.
but I don't think that's always the case. Like, it's definitely not the case right now with me. Like, I can definitely still critique when I agree with someone. I think that we are just understanding this in a different way, which is okay. Because we're just understanding it differently. It's not like my inability to critique people that I agree with.
No, it's not just you. It's not you necessarily. I'm just talking generally, but also the specific response to Elon saying yes, right? I believe that women and minorities are just as smart as white pilots. Feels like it did something for you that doesn't make sense. Like, no one is saying they don't. I mean, there's an implied they don't, but every single Republican, if you ask them if they're not overtly racist, would give you the same exact answer that he just gave.
What is the result? Okay, maybe this is where the disconnect is. What is the result of someone having lowered standards and expectations when it comes to gaining a skill that is needed
for advantage for a group?
So, okay, but what is the result in the job? If people are held to a lower standard,
no, there might not be a result in the job. He thinks that if they're not as good, they'll crash the plane. But if they are just as good, which he just confessed, then the planes won't crash. But they got an unfair advantage to admissions. There's still an unfair. If he is right, there is still an unfair admissions, and Don Lemon now is now stuck with his response, as opposed to challenging him on how he got his response. You and I can be just as good, and you got a lower bar for entry. It would feel unfair to me if you did. Well, I wouldn't care, but yeah, it would feel unfair to me if you did.
But I don't know, I guess I just see the results of if someone, like, I'm thinking about the result of someone being held to a lower standard, being assessed at a lower standard, being prepared for a test that is not as hard. You won't know the same things. Now, maybe some people
that's what I'm saying. When you say maybe some people would, that defeats your argument.
No, I'm saying, when I say maybe some people will, I'm saying that that's not how it's designed, though. Somebody extraordinary might, but that's not where the design is. When someone is held to a lower standard, assessed at a lower standard, taught to a lower standard, the design is that they're not going to be
the taught. None of that. The taught or whatever is there. It's just you're only assessed at a lower standard.
So what is the point of that?
That you have an unfair advantage is what they're saying.
Why is it an advantage?
If you wait, what?
So I'm trying to say the whole being assessed at a lower standard has to mean something, right? And you're saying that it means that they're going to be able to get in easier.
Yeah.
If they're able to get in easier, and that's the case, what is the result of that when they get to this job? Are they going to be
you're arguing that you're arguing that Elon and white men shouldn't care if this is true, because when they get there they can perform. But that's not the point.
I'm not arguing that. First of all, I'm not arguing that at all, because the premise is false. That's not what happened.
No. We agree that the premise is false. So hopefully we don't actually have to go back and forth and explain that I am not in alignment with these people saying DEI is bad. I'm for DEI in specific ways. But you and I are now talking about admissions, entry to a flight, right, to become a pilot. If they have lowered the bar for one group, you are saying what?
If the bar is lowered for one group, the group that has the lower bar generally will not have as much knowledge about the thing or as many skills around the thing as the group with the higher bar.
That doesn't make sense.
What?
That does not make sense.
What?
That is not required doesn't mean you don't have it.
When it comes to now, when we're talking about general intelligence, I agree. But we're talking about learning a skill because
Yes,
he
but
asked
we
about
never
how
talked
skilled.
about learning it. If you let's say you go to school, but then at the end you guys were taught the same thing, but one group is given both of you are given the same test, and one is scored on a curve and the other one is not. There's a disadvantage there. There's an advantage and a disadvantage there. No?
If the standards, because he talked about lowering standards, right? If the
Mhm.
standards are lower,
For
the result
entry. For
of
entry.
lower,
So
the
it's
result of
just the
lower
exam.
standards would
It is
be
just the exam.
the result of lower standards would be generally lower performance.
We don't. I mean, you can say that, but that's not true for everyone.
Because if that's so,
If
then what
we
would be the
both
point? If it doesn't
no,
matter
no,
and
no, no, no.
everyone's the
No,
same, no
it
matter what,
does.
what's the
No,
point?
this does matter because, like, your argument doesn't make sense. Like, I've been in classes where all you need to do is get a 70 to pass, but I still want a 95. But if I happen to
Yeah,
make a 71, I still pass.
I get that. And I think I mentioned that earlier when I said some people, it doesn't matter what the test is, they're going to study as much
Okay,
as
so that's
you
his
want to study.
argument then. That's why it tracks with his argument. You can still have, yes, I think they might be still just as smart, even if you don't believe that, while still saying you shouldn't lower the standard for them. Those aren't inconsistent.
I still think that it highlights Elon's inconsistencies. Yeah,
Oh,
because I think it does. Now, if you don't think it does,
no,
that's
I'm asking
okay.
you.
But I think it does.
I'm trying to. Can you explain how it does? I'll mute myself. Explain specifically how it is inconsistent to say, I believe they're equal, so you shouldn't lessen the bar for one for entry.
When he talked about the people becoming pilots and said, I mean, Don asked, did he think that women and people of color were just as intelligent and skilled as pilots? And Elon said, or however he phrased it, he might have said the opposite, like, do you think that they are less skilled? Or if he said, are they just as skilled? Whatever the case, he said, no, they're not less skilled. So they're just as skilled, women, men, white people, black people, just as all of them are just as skilled. I think that highlights that what he's saying about lower standards, which is a false premise to begin with, because that's not even what happens. But it just highlights that if you thought that were the case, how could you not think that the group with the lower standards and expectation or whatever is not going, is going to have the same level of skill as the group who's held to a higher standard when it comes to skills in being a pilot, which is what he asked about. I already explained that though, but I think I'm just saying the same thing I already said.
And all right, and I heard you, and we can end it here. Because I feel like we're going back and forth, but it feels like you repeated yourself, but you didn't address any of my issues with what you said. Because, like, you can feel that a lower standard for a group means that they're not as good, but that doesn't make it correct. A lower standard for a group in terms of an entry exam doesn't actually say anything about the group. It could say something about your judgment of the group, but it doesn't actually mean anything about the group itself. So the group can be smart, can be fully capable, while you've lowered the standard for them. And if you lowered the standard for them for one group but not for another, there is in the other group's mind an unfair advantage when it comes to
See,
entry.
but when it comes to intelligence and like being capable, that's not what is being.
That's
you can
the
be very
question capable.
You can be very
That's the question
intelligent.
he asked.
But he asked about it specifically as it relates to being a pilot, intelligent and skilled as a pilot.
Yeah.
Not just general intelligence. Because
Yeah,
you
so
can be,
you,
in fact,
so
I tell
you,
my
are you
students all the
saying
time.
that? Are you
I tell my
saying
students
that?
all the time, you can be as
Wait, are
intelligent
you
as you want to
saying
be.
that?
If you don't,
Let's do skill as a pilot then. Are you saying if they lower the bar for entry for Black people to become pilots, that then that means that the Black people becoming pilots aren't as skilled?
it means that if the bar is lowered, they're not exposed to, tested on as many things as the
No, no,
people.
no, no. You could be tested on all of it, but you just need a smaller, a lower number. You are tested in all the same ways. You just need a smaller number, a smaller percentage, a smaller amount, correct?
That's the same thing though, of what I'm saying. If I give a math test, and to pass it, some people have to get a 50% and some have to get a 70%. There will be more people getting in that couldn't get to 70% than if everybody had to get to 70%. Yeah, there will be some people in there that could have got 100%, but they were only being assessed at 50. True. But more people will get in that couldn't make it to 70 than if the standard was 70.
Yes.
So with that being the case, you are going to have people that are less skilled.
No, that's not necessarily true. That's what I'm saying. That's not necessarily true.
How
That,
can that be true? When you just agreed. I'm so confused now. You just agreed.
yeah, yeah. There are people who could get in with less than a 70 because they got over a 50. But it's not necessarily true that the people who got in won't make over a 70, even if the bar is lower. It still doesn't mean.
I understand that, but I'm
Okay,
saying
so then
if
it
the
doesn't.
bar is
Wait. No. If that is true, if you understand that it is possible, not that it's likely, not that it happens, that it is possible that the people who got in, even though they had a lower range for getting in, a lower threshold for getting in at 50, if they make a 70, they'll get in. That it's possible that the people who could have gotten in with over a 50 still got in with over a 70. If you think that is possible, then Elon can answer in the affirmative when asked, do you think they're smart or just as smart? He can say yes, because he doesn't know, and there is a possibility that they are just as smart.
so then what does the factor?
It is still unfair. It is still unfair. In this realm, it is, even though
It's
every
highly
single
unfair.
one.
The reason-
Wait.
Wait, hold on. The reason
Yeah.
it's unfair is because some people will get in with a 50.
Yeah.
That's what makes it unfair.
Yeah.
Some people are going to get in with a 50, a 60,
Yeah.
a 69, a 68, whatever, under 70. That's the thing that makes it unfair.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's unfair means that is happening, and that's
No, we don't know if it's happening. It doesn't have to actually happen. It's a potential. It doesn't actually have to actualize. That is the potential, is the problem. That's the problem he's pointing out.
I guess, like, as an educator, when I'm thinking of how curves are done and why teachers do them, I just have never seen, and I'm not saying that this can't ever be the case just because I don't see it in practice ever. But no one's going to make a curve if everybody's getting an A. They're making the curve because some people are not getting an A. They're not getting a B. They're not getting a C. So they're going to make a curve so that those people could then make it. That's the whole point of making the standard lower.
Yes.
Is so that there will be more
But
opportunity.
you already
for people who
agreed with
would not
me.
have made it.
We already had this discussion where we agree that your vision of the people taking the test might not be accurate. Like you viewing Black people as incapable of getting the high score or whatever it is might not be true. I don't actually disagree with you, mind you. I think that maybe in their mind they believe Black people aren't testing well, and so they're getting lower than the what would normally get white people in, and so that they are not as good. That is an accurate like assessment, I think. But you don't, because what you did was you create a theoretical framework for which he could answer the question. You did not ask practically what happened, because if you ask him, so do you think a lot of people are getting in and not meeting the threshold that white people are meeting? And then you ask how you know. That could be a line of question. That's not what he asked. He asked a general question about intelligence, our capability. Do you think Black pilots are white minorities
Are just
and
as
women
skilled.
are just as skilled? It's like, okay, yeah, I think they're just as skilled. I don't know. I've never researched it. But that you have a lower threshold is the problem if you have a lower threshold, which they don't have a lower threshold. So the premise is wrong. Argue with him about why do you think there's a lower threshold. Don't ask him this general question about, oh, do you think they're just as smart? Okay, yeah, I think they're just as smart. What about it?
I think like I said earlier, I think he asked that because he saw that that Elon didn't back down when he was wrong about the false premise that they
You
started.
just reverted to the first part of where we came from, so no. No.
That is.
We're
Because
good.
why
We
else?
can you
Let's
just
get
revert
Don
it?
on the
We
show.
did all that work.
Let's
We
get
did all
Don on
that
the
work, and then you reverted back to the first thing.
Let's
I'm not
get
doing
Don on
this
the
again,
show.
but thank you.
When
I
we come back from
appreciated the
hiatus,
mental exercise, by
I
the
say
way.
let's get Don on the show when we come back. I would love
I
to
would
hear
drag
him
him.
explain.
No, but I did. By the way, I think people are annoyed with me or whatever. I did appreciate the exercise, so I'm here
Yeah.
for it. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
You told them they could leave early.
No, like people are like, oh my God, you're going in circles. It is definitely not circular. And if you thought that was circular, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but that was not circular. That was
No,
us trying to explain things.
And I don't understand why, like, when people are talking and trying to gain understanding, even if you keep kind of saying the same thing, because I would say that I liked that, exercise too, because even if you don't agree with someone, it's always good to me to get more of their perspective. So like I just never understand when people are first of all acting like they're being like held hostage watching something, and then why like is it a problem to want more information?
Mhm.
No problem.
I think the problem is people are going to be mad at you, and then people are going to be mad at me because they already agree with you or they already agree with me. And instead of trying to like understand, instead they're like, shut up, why can't you get it? Why can't you get what she's saying? Why can't you get what is she saying? And then they're to you, why can't you get what he's saying? Why can't you get what he's saying? Instead of like, wait, let me try to get what the person I don't agree with is saying and like fully invest in the argument because I already agree with what the other person is saying. But
Yeah, I think it's a really good exercise to try to be able to argue the opposite of what you agree with.
Agreed.
In fact, I don't even think you can really have that good of an argument if you can't argue both sides.
Yeah. This is not guava juice. This is cayenne pepper, lemon juice, and
the master cleanse.
Never mind. I shouldn't be telling y'all this because I don't want to be promoting it. By the way, we are going on hiatus. I don't know if y'all knew this, but we are going on a hiatus. I wish we weren't now because now I've figured out all I need to do is pick a fight with Kay. I'm kidding. No, they're tired. I wish I could force them to continue, but we talked and I think we're just kind of exhausted generally. I am. So yeah.
We'll be back.
We will be back. I believe we'll be back. I think we'll be back. We're planning because like the thumbnail, the backdrop, all of it is like dark academia aesthetics, and I think we also need to like update it. and update everything. The
I'm not going to
browns
say
don't work.
anything about the background because last time I did, y'all had a whole discussion. I'm not saying it. You know that like if I said I'll be back, does anybody know where that comes from, or am I just old?
No, that's Terminator.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, thank you. And Petty, thank you so much for your engagement.
I feel like Petty is like eating something.
At the end of
he was like,
It was exactly. He did the ASMR.
it's Tillamook. Tillamook. At the end of the day got to end.
I've been seeing people say that lately on TikTok. Is that?
I started it. Go and watch my TikTok. I'm the first.
By the way, on our way out, please don't. You can disrespect me in the comments. I'm fine with that. But I'm fine. Actually, so I've been going back to look through the comments to see the best drags. But anyway, please be respectful. Like Kay and Petty have like shared time and space with us. So like even if you disagree, please don't like attack and like name call or any of that. Please.
And just sit back and think, like, what does it mean if you come into a comment section to be mean or disrespect people you don't know in real life? You're probably never going to meet. Like, just sit and reflect on that, and then maybe it will stop some people. Because what? Like, I don't even understand. Maybe the like parasocial relationships are like really strong, so people feel really offended or whatever by like things people say. But my thing is like, what is the point? Like that it's like, oh, I gotta get this off my chest and let them know that I just can't stand, or that they were stupid, or that they did this or that. What? I don't get it, but I do go in the comments and respond. But I just don't get it though. Like, what is the point? I don't ever like lay in the bed like, I am so sad that so and so thinks so and so. Like, even if I respond, I just think it's just strange. Like, I wouldn't go in someone's comment section anonymously. Like, ew, you're right. Like, I just think that's strange behavior. But
I mean, I'll go in and drag, but I'm kidding. I'm not dragging in the comments. I won't. I'll do it in your face. Petty, go ahead. Sorry. First, what are you eating?
Tillamook.
Period.
As it has been famously said, if a person is too poor to have beef in their refrigerator, they come and have it with us instead. So unfortunately, there are people in poverty and they have nothing better to do but sit in the comment section and say things about people. And I allow that space because I don't believe that they would come up and put their face on screen. So I don't care.
Period. Thank you both. We will be working behind the scenes and hopefully we'll be back when you guys get your well-deserved rest. This has been over a year. We've done this for over a year. So I appreciate this. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, the people say, when is your channel coming?
Maybe during the hiatus. I need help. I don't know how to do it. Well,
you know you can call me. But
yeah, I think we need to set up a Zoom conference. You're gonna drag me. I already know because I don't know. You're gonna be shocked at the low level of knowledge I have about these types of things. But
we can work. I mean, we'll have some months when we are on a hiatus, and then we'll figure it out. So
multiple months of a hiatus.
So what am I gonna watch? I'm gonna go live twice a week, maybe 3, but twice a week. I'm thinking if I should move it back to Tuesday at 6 or 7. I don't know, like keeping it at 8 because this is the time we're all free. But I get so exhausted. Like at 8 o'clock, I'm tired. Like I turn on the camera and I'm like jolted up, but like after I'm done, I crash. It's really exhausting. So. Not you all, just like work and stuff. This is the easy part. Just FYI. Love this. All right. So we will talk and we'll get back. Please don't drag Themis RK when Petty is right there free for the dragging. Period.
Don't drag him either.
No,
there it
please
is.
drag
No
him.
profile pic.
I feel like he should drag. Petty should be dragged.
Hi, y'all.
Tuesday, Wednesday is prior meeting. LOL. Drop a. All right, you guys can have a wonderful night. I'm gonna put up a community post to figure out when I should go live, either Tuesday or maybe Monday. Who knows? Let's get excited. We'll start next week, either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll see. Which one of
Any
them?
weekday, like what?
No. I can't do that. That's too much. We need 1 day, 2 days. All right. Bye. No, I am not gone. What do you mean? No, Mahogany Pink, not me. I will be here. We will be going live on Fridays as usual. Like, we still go live on Friday. And then we need to pick a day in the week and a time for me. So, yeah, I'll be here. I'm still here. Bye.